And we should be live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who is watching. Let me know if the audio sounds okay. Sorry that this is late. For those of you who don't know, I've told a couple people on Discord, but I did not do the live reaction in the past 2 days due to me actually doing something IRL for the first time ever. My best friend got married, so I was at the wedding all day yesterday. So it was a good, great day. Before you guys ask, it was amazing. Absolutely fantastic. Hope everyone is having a good time as well. What's up, Young? Ice Cream? Hawk's Nest? Michael, my boy, David? The other Michael? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. As far as my weeks has been going good, hopefully you guys have had a fun time. I've been able to steer myself away from all spoilers of any kind. So, which is becoming easier and easier for me to do as I've been like more used to it. So, as per the normal regimen, I will live react to the chapter, hide the chat, and then we'll just have a talk about it at the end. So, I'm going to go ahead and hide the chat right now. I'll see you at the end of it. Okay, so for this chapter, I'm actually going to be reading from the Viz because it's Sunday. And before I saw too much, I was able to change it so that I only see one page at a time. I never liked how the default for Viz was that it showed 2 pages at once. I don't know why you would do that. But here we go. So chapter 960, introducing Odin. All right, so I don't really know what to expect here. I'm going to expect a fairly generic... we'll see, I don't know. We'll see what the pace is like. I would really like it if things slowed down and we don't see a montage of events if we're going to be getting introduced into Odin, because you've already heard so much. I feel like a montage of events wouldn't really give us a familiar and close grasp of his personality. But we'll see what happens. So we see Capone. I really don't care about the Capone color spread. There really doesn't seem to be anything of value in these so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip that. Let's go to the first page. All right. I'm going to zoom in here more, actually. Okay, let me see here. Oh, actually, I can't zoom in. It doesn't allow me to zoom up. Great UI here. Lush deep forests as far as the eye can see. So this is basically the same general picture that we see of the capital, except I assume more forests around it. That's what it looks like. Where flowers and plants grow thick and verdant from the pure coursing river, water leading to the crystal blue sea. This is a story of Wano from the times when life was still abundant. So we see some fish, a boar, and a deer. So someone's fishing. It's true, I saw it. The mountain was moving. The mountain, that's right. We were running from our lives from a moving mountain just now. It was groaning at us. So I'm assuming that's... Is that really a callback to anything that we know? I haven't been paying a tremendous amount of attention. I know there's a hollowed mountain somewhere in Wano, but as far as actual mountains moving, I don't really remember that much. We see a little shop here. That might be the work of the mountain god. Waitress, tea house at the Cape Suru. Oh, so this is Suru 24 years in the past. She still has the Kozuki hair thing, but I guess it's gone from the kimono, and I don't see a sign outside with the Kozuki symbol. Or is that it? I can't really tell. But why is it that you 3 look so pleased? So we see some 3 fodder. Dee-hee-hee, we just can't hide anything from you, Suru. Okay, we'll let you in on a little secret, but only for you. See, the truth is, we finally caught the legendary animal we've been looking for. It took us an entire year of searching. Okay. So the next page, look at this little guy. Oh, it's a white boar. Snork. Okay. If we take this boar to the capital, we could get a whole platinum form. Platinum. I don't think the actual type of currency. Is this a different type of currency? A whole platinum? I don't really know much about Japanese monetary values. 1 platinum coin, that's enough to build a gorgeous home. The Kurokoma boss wants the legendary white boar to display outside of his place for all to see. That's also not ringing a bell, the name Kurokoma. There was a bounty on the beast, but no one was ever able to find it. As a sideshow, no, white boars are the agents of the gods. Da ha ha ha. Oh, you're so sweet. It's just a rare creature, that's all. So there's some kind of noise coming from somewhere. Oh, just a moment. So we see she's grabbing someone who's, I don't know. Throws him. You were just taking money from my purse again, weren't you? Fess up, Kinemon. Yeah, we've already seen Kinemon with the hair. So stop, Monsieur. We've known each other since we were kids. Come on, your brother in spirit needs some cash. Since when were you my brother? You're out of money because you gambled it away. Do you know how much money you owe me already? The next time you try to steal from me, I will collect what's mine by selling your organs. So we see Kinemon there. You know, it's something actually pretty curious. I don't really know what like the effect of this was. I don't think, and this is supposed to matter, but with the Yasu flashback, we've already seen basically, aside from like Suru, all of the retainers back in the past. So like the culture shock of like Kinemon's, you know, delinquent haircut is, I'm not sure if Oda wanted that to be revealed in like in this flashback. We'll see. If you can't pay me back, I'm going to shake you down for everything you've got on you, clothes included. Well, thanks, Suru. Thanks. Oh, well, Suru. Thanks for the food. We'll just leave the payment here. So they'll go ahead and memeing. Everyone walks away. And it's a scene transition. I guess this is later on in time. It's you, the man we just saw. Wahaha. Thug from the capital, Kinemon. So we see Kinemon here. Did you think I couldn't hear you blabbing on and on? Thanks for the tip about your boar worth 1 platinum. Looks like it's my lucky day. I feel like I just won the lottery. All I have to do is hand over this boar to the Kurokuma boss and... Oh, he sneezes. Give me your clothes and your wallets. Didn't he just have clothes on? He did. I guess he's naked now for some reason, I guess. I don't really know what the symbol on his little garment is supposed to be. I don't see any. Maybe in the Giant Minis version there's a translator's note, but there's no notes here. So another scene transition. So we're just going through all of this. All right. Well, it seems that Lord Odin has no talent for sailing. He has attempted to break our laws and sail to sea. I believe this is 38 times now. I'm amazed he's survived them all. To quickly sum up his life thus far, before the age of 1, he threw his wet nurse to the ground. At age 2, he was quick enough to catch 2 hares at once. At age 4, he obliterated a bear by hurling a boulder at it. By age 6, he was regularly visiting the pleasuring halls and spending the palace's money. Oh, we're getting a montage of events just verbally. But I don't know. It seems really odd because these people know Odin. Like this expository dialogue talking to people who already know him is... I do not think that's good. But who's this person? Shogun of Wano Kozuki Sukiyaki, Odin's father. Oh, this is the first time we've seen old man Odin. Okay. So he's got... Alright, he looks fairly normal. Okay. I don't really know if those designs on his cape are really... I feel like we've seen those designs on Kamurasaki's cloak. At least the little popcorn things at the top. At the age of 8, in a drunken rage, he engaged in a brawl with some gamblers. And by 9, he was on the Yakuza blacklist. Forbidden. Snickers is going crazy outside my door. Big surprise. She hears me talking and is probably lonely. So, where was I at? By age 9, he was on the Yakuza blacklist, forbidden from entering the gambling den. In revenge, he set fire to the den and waged war on the Yakuza. He was arrested for assault, and this was at just 10 years of age. For rehabilitation as a prisoner, he was sent to the quarry where his talent blossomed. Okay, so this was like some kind of parallel to Luffy where he was sent to the quarry to work. I guess that was always there. In fact, he rose to the rank of chief stonemason. That's the Kozuki blood in him. From there, what's the purpose of this guy telling what was this guy's name again? Sukiyaki, all of this. Does he just not know anything? From there, he left prison and reformed his ways. When Lord Odin was 14, the capital was in a terrible drought. Unable to bear the sight of people suffering from dried out wells, he curved the river itself to run through the capital. Okay, I'm just going to say this right here. This entire sequence, I know it's to build the lore of Odin, but oh my god. Show versus tell is really, really, like this montage of stuff. We already know so much about Odin. I don't know. I'm not feeling this section right here, to be honest. It just is laying it on thick. Ugh. The resulting flood damages led to another warrant for his arrest. But Lord Odin attempted to ride that river directly out of the country, at which he failed. Then, when he was 15, he threatened the priest of a secluded mountain temple into sheltering him. He would abduct women from the capital late at night to take back to his own personal harem. Oh, so he's an asshole. Okay. It's like something a spirit or goblin would do. I should add, however, that the women were always free to leave if they wanted to. This, however, provoked the ire of the men in those women's lives. Fathers, husbands, hardy samurai who joined their cause. Lord Odin gleefully met them in battle. Okay, that's interesting. This is widely known as the Harem War. Even the Hyogoro family was drawn into the fighting when he attempted to restore peace. So we see the background shot of Hyogoro. The total number of casualties caused by Lord Odin single-handedly was over. Enough. I've heard enough. Thank you. Oh my god, I was about to say the same thing, man. Oof. Yes, sire, Lord Odin is now 18, so we got some context for his age there, and he continues to stir up trouble at a healthy rate. Say nothing to Odin, just give him this. So, I think that says disowned. So this is the part of the story we learned about where Sukiyaki kicked Odin out of the royalty and sent him to Curry. Wow, this is how it happened. There wasn't like I don't know. That's very disappointing. If this is what I think is, that maybe that doesn't say disowned, but that would be very, very disappointing. If this was just the background to it, just him getting a montage of events and then kicking him out, nothing personal or anything. No. All right. So we see another scene transition where it's switching from black to, I guess, supposed to be in present time in the flashback. Don't let him get away this time. He went that way. It's Kinemon. So Kinemon is getting chased. Now, just a moment, I say. I'm about to come into a big sum of cash. So there's some scribbles in the background saying, we know you're lying, you cheater. It's true, just let me go to the Kurokoma family mansion. Kinemon, eh? The kid who stole our money? Catch him and flay all the skin off his body. Just don't fight him man to man, he's stronger than any of you. Nice joke, boss. We'll catch him in no time. Yakuza of the capital, Hyogoro the flower. So we see Hyo during his prime. Got the flamey hair. And is not a midget. Alright. Bit cavalier as a Yakuza. So, we get to see what he was like. Another scene transition. Oh my gosh. In a flashback? We still get this Wano pace in the flashback, huh? You bought the wrong pot? Well, the larger kind will cost you 60 silver. Yeah, so you will take back the 30 silver pot I bought earlier in exchange. So we see the pots there. Yes, of course. And I already paid you 30 silvers when I bought the first one. Plus the value of the pot makes 60 silver, so I'll take the big one. That checks out. Pleasure doing business with you. I'm assuming that he probably just scammed this guy. He orphan of the capital, Denjiro. Oh, so we see Denjiro here in kid form for the first time. Looks like he's got a sort of. He looks fairly normal. Got some sunglasses. Big straw hats. Looks like he's got some kind of. I wouldn't say that's a 4-leaf clover, but it looks like 4-sided leaf. Plus, he's got the patchiness that we've seen from Luffy's kimonos. From that usually comes from Curry. He just bilked 30 silver off that guy. Wake up a general store. We see Kinemon. I think that's Kinemon, or is that someone else? I can't tell. Hey, Denjiro. Huh? What the? How come I only have 30 silver now? So, as I thought, Rob that guy. Another scene transition. Okay. The crematory, flower capital. Sir Samurai, please, you must stop him. We see a child. Did they really cremate? I didn't know if the Japanese actually cremated people back then. Grandpa Katsuzo. I don't think that name's important. I don't really recognize anyone in this scene. There, don't cry. Then again, it is a funeral, so crying is expected. What's the matter? The cremation is finished, so the family was going to go in to collect the bones. But looking at him, he's boiling a pot of Odin over my father's remains. Odin, you say? So this is we're gonna get an introduction to Odin eating Odin. So we see, oh, this is half a page cut off. I wonder if that's just the page messed up or it's supposed to be that way. Load on, so we see someone gulping. Wano's show. Okay, yeah, so we get to see Odin here. So he's saying something. Now, huffa herf huffa herf humanum. Very, very eloquent. I can't even tell what he's saying. Get away from father's remains. He's disgracing my father-in-law's death. Heffa huff huff. So we see Odin. Is that? I thought that he was always wearing a hat. I guess that's his actual hair at the top. Okay. And he's wearing the pretzels as we saw before. I can't really tell how tall he is. And looks like, yeah, he's eating on top of the dead dude. Okay. We see him drinking and chomping away. He is continuing to eat. And he says, so long then, plunk. The next drink we share together will come in the afterlife, Katsuzo. I guess he knew the dude, so somewhat honoring him, I would imagine. And now if the family will pardon my interruption. I'm sorry he never explains himself, says some dude. What is going on? Oh my, what a man. Oh no, stop the wives and daughters. So that's one of the legendary Odin speeches. Have you come here to apprehend me? Yes, but I'll accept a bribe too. You're not supposed to say that. What's going on here? No one's avoiding me like usual. Seems there's a fire that's got them preoccupied. The bells have been ringing. And it looks like he's talking to a watchtower. Hey, is it a big fire? It's not the fire that's big. Okay. You see Odin questioning. Oh, another scene transition. Okay. Don't you know what that is, Keen? You shouldn't be carrying that thing around. What, this white boar? Don't you think the Kurokoma boss is trying to use it to destroy the Hyogoro family? What do you mean, Denjiro? I mean that whenever that piglet is found, or wherever, the adult boar is sure to come charging. The ancient scrolls say it's a white boar the size of a mountain. Oh, because that's the mountain moving earlier in the chapter was what they called. That's what they call the mountain god. There's a story about it destroying an entire village in the course of a night several hundred years ago. Several. That would place it right around the time that Noland was alive. Interesting. I always thought it was just a tale, but now that I've seen this white boar for myself, this big one must be the mountain god. The mountain god is real. It's come for revenge. Did I accidentally doom the capital? So I guess it's going to end with Odin slaying the dude. We'll all be devoured. Many have succumbed already. Abandon the capital. Flee for your lives. So it's kind of hard to tell what's happening. On the Viz, everything's like zoomed out. But I think I see something in the far right where it's supposed to be the boar running around. Although if I can't clearly see it, obviously it's not the size of a mountain. We see snork snork. That was a fascinating story. You just said whoever you are. Okay, so he was snooping in on Denjiro and Kinemon. Give that boar to me. Oh, that's the end of the chapter? Really? Okay. I guess if that's the end of the chapter, that is the end of the chapter. Let me go ahead and pull up the chat here, baby. Pop out chat, bring it over here, expand the chat. So what are the big topics of discussion surrounding this chapter? Obviously, since I haven't really been watching any videos, if I haven't seen the chapter, so I'm not really sure what it's supposed to be. Dritz, how was the wedding? Oh, the wedding was amazing. It was also very, very short in terms of like how long the actual ceremony part of it was, which is the perfect wedding. So I don't know, everything went off great. It was raining at the beginning of the day, but it ended up stopping. It was amazing. I teared up. I had the Dritz tears during the ceremony. It was very emotional. Although, if you guys don't know, we had the wedding here at the house, so we spent a fair amount of time cleaning up afterwards. So, but other than that, it was amazing. The food was great. The camaraderie was even better, and I had a genuinely good time. Do you think the 30 pieces of silver thing is a Judas reference? He's also buying a pot, the thing Odin will die in. Well, I am not entirely literate in the scripture of Christianity. So I'm not sure what relevance that has inside the lore. Maybe though. I mean, that could be a thing. I would not be surprised if Oda did that. Dritz, are you reading from Viz? Reading the Viz round? No, I prefer not to read the Viz. I feel like Giant Minis is a lot easier to read in terms of availability. Obviously, you get to read it first, but there's also translator's notes, which the Viz never has. At least as far as I've seen so far, and also the Viz, it's like zoomed out, where like it's kind of popped in during Giant Minis. But for discussion purposes, I read the Viz so I can get the correct correct everything. There has been no discussion, Dritz. Nothing happened. Well, I guess there wasn't particularly too much, right? I guess Denjiro's revealed. Is there like a who is Denjiro? I don't know, just a challenge just to see who he is or something. People think Denjiro is Koshiro. Denjiro looks like Zoro's master. Oh, so they think Denjiro is Zoro's master, but age-wise, none of that would make any sense. Wait, would it? If Denjiro is like 8 there, and this is how many years? 40? 39? How long ago was this flashback? 38. So he'd be like 46 now? I mean, I guess that can make sense, but although Denjiro being Zoro's master has no relevance to Wano, necessarily, he's not going to be here, or shouldn't. Dritz, I'll try to find that kanji on Kinemon because why not? Hey, my boy Michael. You'll see you later, Christian. Dritz crying. Yeah, I was tearing up. I didn't go full on. I tried to stop myself. You went to a wedding too, Jay? Hey, you went to a wedding? Yak went to a wedding? It was like wedding weekend. Did that wedding trigger your existential dread? It did not. It was just a good time, man. Had almost the same experience, actually. Oh, Jay, my man. Bring out the pillow. No, the pillow has to stay for the review. I will not be showing the pillow. Big topics. Who is Denjiro? Koshiro? Kyoshiro? Queen? Scopper or someone else? Wait, how is Queen in the discussion for Denjiro? Is there some like something that they look similar to some degree? I didn't notice anything. I can see Koshiro and Kyoshiro. I guess Scopper has dark hair and glasses, but I want to say that's probably not a possibility. It would be weird for two of Roger's people to come from the same place, I'd imagine. Especially considering Scopper has had no importance whatsoever in the story. But maybe that's a good way to tie him in, just to get him in there if that's what Oda was trying to do. What if Uranus is an ancient weapon who can control big animals on land like this white boar and Zunisha Dritz? Well, that has been the actual popular theory. I made a video talking about this a while ago. JB has made a video talking about this. But that's what I think it is. I think it is something that can control beasts. And a long time ago, I said that Momonosuke was Uranus. Now I don't necessarily believe that to be true. There hasn't been a whole lot of surrounding evidence. Plus, we have all the smile stuff a little bit more fleshed out, although Momonosuke is still an option there. But, whatever, we just assume that Uranus, the egg on Roger's ship, whatever happens to be, has that ability. That has been what I think has been the primary belief. Steven thinks that you shouldn't need translator notes if you are doing a good job translating it, unless it's something super Japanese. I mean, if that's his philosophy, that's his philosophy. I don't think if you're translating it for an English audience, I definitely don't think that is the case. Especially when you are in an arc that has multiple Japanese hints, but maybe that's part of the intention. If you're curious, go find out for yourself. I can respect that. Denjiro has Loro's sword. Did he actually? I didn't pay attention really. Let me go back and check. Let me go here. Boop. Where was his introduction? Oh, I don't see anything. I just see health. It just looks like a generic sword to me. I can't really tell what it's supposed to be. Maybe it is? I can't really tell, though. It also looks curved. But maybe that's just Oda's drawing. Oh, okay, yeah, good point, Beppo. It's yeah, I don't like the default for Viz having double spreads because it's just like your eye will automatically spoil yourself or something. It's not good for live reacting. Dritz, meh, nothing special. Brocade, fine dress, honors. Oh, is that what Kinemon's thing says? Okay. Also means a female named Kin. Oh, so it's Kinemon. His thing is he's wearing Kinemon. Okay. I didn't expect it to be anything like relevant. I was just curious as all. What's going on, Isaiah? Do I think the board can be knocked out by Conqueror's Hockey? Oh yeah, definitely. It didn't actually, as I said, it didn't look big because in the city you can't actually see it over the building, so it being mountain sized seems to be cap. But yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just an animal. I doubt it's particularly strong. We haven't really seen any strong animals so far in Wano. Will the Beast Pirates use the gas they used on Zoe? Oh, that's actually a good question, Hayes, because, that's been part of the conversation since Zoe, which is why people, myself included, thought that Caesar would eventually find his way to Zoe, because the Straw Hats have no counter for the gas weapons that Jack was using, that were developed by Caesar, and no one in the crew has proven to be capable of getting rid of them. Nor has it been a plot point since Zoe. So if Oda remembers, then, they're going to have to think of some way to overcome that. If not, someone's going to have to come through. Yo, what's up, Yak? Do I like how Odin looks? Odin looks fine. Odin looks fine, you know. Um, Nothing really to complain about with him. We haven't really seen too much of him. But yeah, I mean, he looks fine. I wouldn't say I'm crazy about his design, but like, you know, at least he doesn't look like a fool. So that's a plus. Odin is kind of like how I pictured him to look like. What's the reason for Oda having Odin silhouetted for this long? I think it was just for cock teasing, and I will be one of the first people to tell you I do not think the way Oda handled Odin's silhouetting was good or a good literary technique. It was definitely overextended. It's kind of like how Koamatsu being hidden for so long really didn't matter in the end. But, you know, that's just the way Oda tries to do it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is what it is. Some people might have found enjoyment in it. Yo, what's up, Lothar, my boy? When we get in the Nami video, I have been extremely lazy and have not done any work lately, heavy. So it's hard to say. I'm kind of waiting on something to happen next week, so I'm not sure. Let me see what's going on here. Just I missed the reading. What do you think of R. Kelly Odin? I mean, meh so far. I just feel like it's not like Odin is like a meh character should be. I think the way that Odin has been presented so far for me has not been interesting. Um, so it's hard for me to say. I don't hate him, but I'm not interested in his character. Not yet, at least. We'll see how it goes, but I don't like the way we're being spoon fed information about Odin. But it's only been one chapter, so we have a lot more. Hopefully, many more chapters to go through. Um, but you know, this chapter was like, it's all right. How close are we to Luffy versus Kaido round two? Well, I guess it depends, Hayes. Some people think there's going to be a round three, kind of like how there was with Crocodile, which could be, you know, that could certainly be the case. We could get a round two, although my issue with there being three rounds, which is kind of like, this is something I also did not like with the Crocodile aspect to the three rounds, was like the protagonist has to constantly be undermined in order for him to survive. You know, they have to act stupid or be so overconfident. It's like, oh, whatever, you know, it's because you're lazy. I was able to survive. If there is a round two with Kaido and there needs to be a round three, it has to happen in a believable way for me. And I don't know what that believable way would be because, you know, Kaido's so strong that if they fought again, you know, Kaido can't throw him into a prison again. I mean, it's redundant. It would not be a good story method for that point in time. Plus, we're in the war. You know, how do you justify that? Everything's been built up for this moment. Are we going to have a back to zero part again? I don't think we can at this point. It seems like everything's all in. It depends on how long the battle is, but, you know, logically speaking, and this is something I'll have to get into at a later point in time, there are certain dynamics of the magic system that need to be explained for the battle to make sense to a degree, to kind of rectify one of the mistakes that was made at Marineford, which is the use of Conqueror's Haki. You know, since Conqueror's Haki is virtually useless in the series outside of large warfare, we need to kind of see it's tackled here in the story, because if not, then it's going to lay bare certain aspects of the fight. So, I mean, we'll see. Round two, if it happened, they would have to come at serious risk for the characters instead of just like, oh no. There would have to be payoff for it, I would say. Did you like the chapter or not? I didn't like the chapter. I didn't hate it. It's meh for me. You know, the way as for me, I wasn't really a big fan of the way the chapter was structured, but that's just kind of sometimes how introductions and flashbacks go. There's a lot of expository dialogue. The way it happens can sometimes be very rough, but I'm not going to go ahead and judge it that much. It is what it is. We'll have to see what happens further on. I'm not too worked up about it, to be honest. Not too worked up about it at all. As I said before, I'm not a big fan of the how Oda has been handling the show versus tell, the scene transitions. I wouldn't. It's not my cup of tea, but if other people like it, that's fine. What I think of the chat? Oh, actually, I just kind of answered that, White Wolf. So hopefully, if you have any more questions, go ahead and follow up on it. I'll try to give you what I can. I'm fine with the pace of this chapter since I expect at least 10 chapters, plenty of time for the story and characters interaction. I mean, yeah, I mean it's fine. There was one aspect that I was really disappointed in. The way that Odin has been, the well, I assume this could be different. Who knows in the next chapter? How his father learned about and then gave the decision to banish him was very anticlimactic and had almost no meaning whatsoever. Kind of disillusioning for me. Wouldn't particularly thrilled about that, considering that all we have about Odin is just like highlights of him instead of like what he actually is. Would really like to have seen Odin's perspective first and foremost, how he personally handled events, and then like being kicked out, it being like a father-son dynamic, which obviously does not exist. Sukiyaki doesn't seem like he actually really cares. He's disillusioned with it. Maybe that's part of the point. Doesn't really seem to be any character interactions going there yet. Disappointing. It is what it is. I think there's definitely missed potential there. I do not like how everything that we have to learn about Lord Odin is just a montage of events. Yeah, that's cool to build up lore, but at a certain point in time, it can get a bit rough. Just reading a monologue after monologue after monologue of a character. So I got a little bit tired of Odin's monologue in this chapter, which it seemed incredibly forced to me. Like it was there, put in place just for the reader to understand stuff instead of it being like a cohesive part of a storytelling element. So I was not a huge fan of that. Some people think the boar is a number. Well, I guess if they want to go along with the idea that, like, I forget what the fox's name was, but the fox had a fruit that could turn him into a human. Maybe the numbers are kind of like that as well. That could make sense. Was the one of the numbers look like a boar? I mean, yeah, sure, that seems valuable. What if Odin and Kaido are related by blood, or like related how? I would find it very hard to believe, given the context of what Wano's been like, that Odin and Kaido are related by blood, but related as in Kozuki. Like I could see some argument for like the Wano's tie to the continent puller, the entire lore behind those, the quote unquote evil race of giants. I could totally see that being a thing with the Kozuki clan. Um, yeah, I could see that. That'd be great. Yo, thanks for dropping by, Christian Romano. Will Luffy call the Grand Fleet? The thing with Luffy, I don't think Luffy's ever going to call the Grand Fleet. I feel like the Grand Fleet's just going to come to Luffy. It kind of seems more characteristic for the storytelling of One Piece, or someone else to get them. It would be cool if Luffy actually called them himself, because it would be him being proactive. But one of the running themes of One Piece is that the characters aren't proactive. So they're usually reactive. So I imagine that they will come because of X, Y, or Z reasons. I'm waiting until enough flashback characters come out to get the full story. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, hopefully the plan would be, the entire setup since Punk Hazard has been towards Odin. Oda hasn't done a bad flashback. Well, he's done a couple, but almost overwhelmingly they've been really, really, really good. So I expect this Odin one, with how much is riding on this one, it should be the best one out of all of them. I don't know how that's going to happen considering the cast that we have in Wano, but I expect Oda to deliver the goods. So theoretically, hopefully it's long. That would be amazing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So far, it is what it is. Some people think the mountain gods are the creatures in Thriller Bark. Well, how can you make that connection? They're just like a big animal. I don't. Also, Apu's New World scene was involving giant boars. Think there's a connection, Dritz? Well, if you put it, well, I mean, like he was also on an invisible bridge that didn't appear to be anywhere near Wano, unless that was supposed to be Wano at that point in time. But yeah, you can make a relation there to some degree for, that boar being a part of the numbers. Yeah. Maybe all of the numbers are boars. I don't know. But yeah, that would be a good idea, Lon. The fresh cut. That's right, boy. You already know. Do you think Marco will be in Wano? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been saying this since Jump. People have been saying they don't think Marco's going to show up, and I know the Viva cards aren't a 100% reliable source of information, but there were Viva cards made for the Wano characters of Luffy and Zoro, and in the Luffy one, it was essentially implied that Jinbei and Marco would both be in Wano. People say Denjiro is Zoro's master in order for Zoro to take his place as the ninth scab. It's the inherited will thing they want. I don't get it. Wait, why is it important for him to take the place of the ninth scabbard? I don't see how that's even really relevant. I mean, the scabbards so far have been lackluster to begin with, so I guess if Denjiro is supposed to be payoff for it, that would be cool, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I don't think it's necessarily too important. I don't know. It's kind of weird because it was implied Koshiro is from Wano, but in the SBS's, maybe Oda just lied in the SBS, but he basically said that the ship that came from Wano to the East Blue, the story would essentially be irrelevant, but it's just something he wanted to tie in. So I'm not going to put much, if any, importance on Koshiro until otherwise for me. Just if this flashback is good, can this turn around Wano overall for you? No. And I'll explain this. Having a good flashback will not justify all of the things that came before that flashback in terms of writing mistakes, plot mistakes, character motivations being messed up, and the retainers themselves not really being fleshed out in their current adventure. Now, this flashback would be great. by itself, but it does not do for me. No matter what happens, it will not justify the mistakes that came before it. Just how do you think Lady Toki's intro will be? Oh, the intro? I'm not necessarily sure. I guess it depends. There's so many ways you can take it. Like if she goes forward in time, it's like a Terminator scene where she just like electricity and then she just goes forward in time. Um, but it depends. I'm assuming that it's going to be something pretty, at least in terms of archetypes go. She's going to be the person that tames the beast. That's generally speaking a dynamic relationship role that happens between men and women. And for good reasons, a lot of psychological aspects to why women also want that. I'm expecting the same thing to be the same thing that happened with Kinemon. I expect it to go along that route. I don't know how it's going to happen though. Do I think Luffy, Law, and Kid will defeat Kaido? I don't think the three of them together right now are strong enough to defeat Kaido unless Kaido is heavily, heavily nerfed. Which, I'm expecting Kaido to be nerfed at some point in time in the arc because, Luffy can't win without his opponents being nerfed. But we'll see. Nothing's in the air. I guess the real question is to what degree is Kaido going to be nerfed? Is it going to be significant? Is it going to be minor? How many people are actually going to fight him? Will Zoro join in the fight at some point in time? How many people versus one entity is that going to be? The Kaido fight's going to be a very, very hard thing I think, for Oda to figure out how to do. Combo fights in this universe with this type of power scaling is a very, very hard thing to do in a manner that makes it exciting and then makes sense. Because like the way to put it would be like, imagine the Oars fight with the Straw Hats, except Oars had a brain and was much, much stronger. How do you logically write that? We'll see what happens. We'll get to see a young Shinobu. Oh no. I hate Shinobu so much. I will spit at my screen if we see a young Shinobu. I think Momonosuke is Odin, but he lost his memories when Bonnie turned him into a child. Alright, that's enough out of you, Ragnar. How do you think he will be nerfed? Dritz, like your own theory? Oh no. I don't actually it's hard for me to think of a satisfying way to nerf Kaido. And that's what I'm looking for. There are ways I think he will be nerfed, but I don't want those ways to be true. I don't know if I can think of a satisfying way for Kaido to be nerfed. But like he has to because the Straw Hats are too weak. It's hard to say. I don't know. But there's always, as far as what options are, we have the Law dynamic, we have Big Mom there, we got, third party comes in. There are ways for him to be nerfed, but those ways are not satisfying. Just One Piece Stampede's antagonist Bullet contradicts that point. Wait, which point? Which point did I say? Just do you think Oda will ever let Luffy be a top tier without shenanigans, i.e. nerfing, interruptions, one versus many, or mercy? No. And that's it? No, I don't think so. Not from here. Because we already had the time for Luffy to be able to beat people by himself, and now we've gotten to the point where it's really not possible anymore. You know, I just don't see it, especially because I feel like one of the biggest antagonists in the series has been portrayed or foreshadowed to lose because of bullshit, and that'd be Blackbeard. Whitebeard's speech about Blackbeard for me, until just proven otherwise, hopefully, is an indication that he will basically lose, not because Luffy's better than him, but because of he sucks, essentially. But, and then if Emu is stronger than Blackbeard, no way he can be defeated without shenanigans. Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe there's like a couple fights in between the big fights without shenanigans, but I don't think there's going to be another top tier that Luffy can beat without shenanigans. Joker, I see you've been saying Wano trash. Thankfully, you've seen the light, but I thought you have been roasting me for the past like 4-6 months because I've been saying that. What made you change? Have I read Jujutsu Kaisen? Not sure if I've asked you before. I've been asked for it before, but I have not read it. Just any new thoughts on the trader? The more I think about it, the less excited I am. Probably the wrong person to ask Yak, because I am mentally tuned out from literally every single character and every event in Wano. The trader stuff to begin with was not interesting, and it was made moot by how bad the characters that would be affected by the trader have been taking the arc. So it's not really a good dynamic going on to begin with, and the characters have been subpar by my standards so far. So I'm not too invested into it, because the main trader options are not people that, we really, on average, I think most people are too invested in. But as far as what good opportunities there would be for it, at this point in time, I don't know. I don't like. I think I'm not totally caught up on all of the evidence people have been using to argue, because I have not cared about who the trader has been. But I know like the popular candidates are like Kanjuro, what is it, Carrot. People have said Shinobu, but Shinobu's clear from being a traitor as far as I'm concerned due to her own inner dialogue. I'm gonna throw in Kiku. I think Kiku could be a traitor. We'll see though. Any chance Oda kills 3 Yonkos? Ooh, no, I don't think 3. 3 would be a bit too much. Damn you, Dritz. Answer. Whoa. White Wolf, what'd you ask? I did answer. I said I hadn't read Jujutsu Kaisen. Zoro is destined to take Kaido's head. I disagree. Wano is the best arc since the Foxy arc. Oh my. You want Shinobu to be the traitor, Dritz? Oh no. The thing is, like, I don't know, man. I think her inner dialogue disqualifies her for being the traitor for now. You think you broke? Oh no, Hebby, you broke your foot? No. How? What'd you do? Just what are your 3 favorite Zoro speeches? Oh, Zoro speeches. I guess I'm not going to number them. Zoro's speech about, whenever Zoro was laying down the law against Luffy during the Usopp stuff, whenever they wanted him back, that was an amazing moment. I don't know if this was necessarily a speech, but whenever, also during the Usopp moment, right after, Usopp is defeated and all the crew's crying, and Luffy says, it's hard, it's tough, and Zoro gives the little speech about being a captain. That hits me right here. That was such a good fucking moment. God, oh, man. The anime also did that amazingly well. 3rd favorite Zoro speech. It would have to be his speech to Luffy after he has lost to Mihawk. Big Mom's dying this arc. She could definitely die this arc. At least you forgive me, Wolf. King's Haki can be used to take out people weaker than you. The Straw Hats are far weaker than Kaido, and Kaido has Conqueror's Haki, so Kaido will take knockout. Well, here's the thing: it's not set in stone that you're not necessarily taking out people that are weaker than you. It's like there's like a certain threshold for will, because even whenever Shanks went onto Whitebeard's ship and was using Conqueror's Haki, there was still a lot of fodder that was sitting up, and they're no names. They're just X characters. And it's happened before, not the weakest people don't always fall. It's not like if my will is higher than yours, I automatically win. I don't think that's how it works. That would introduce a lot of weird aspects to the series where it's like, if I have Conqueror's Haki, I automatically win the fight because I knock you out. But the reason why Conqueror's Haki is vital to be explained in more detail is to how Conqueror's Haki works against large numbers of people. Because in theory, Conqueror's Haki completely invalidates the aspect of having an army. It needs to be tackled before we get to the final battle, or else we're going to run into things that Marineford should have cleared up. My favorite Zoro speech is, I'll gather all of the samurai. He's doing a good job, isn't he? Drop something, stuff on it while I'm packing the car for my mother. Oh my god, heavy. Oh, have you gotten it checked out? Man, you love that Mihawk arc, Jets. It was a good arc, man. It was a good arc. The other is telling Luffy to take the New World serious for getting his sword stolen. A classic moment. I'm glad you mentioned the inorganic exposition. I feel like people don't care about that, but for me, it really ruins the immersion. It seems to be a constant in manga in general, but Oda is abusing. I would agree, Felipe. I would agree. That's been one of my major criticisms. In my opinion, I feel like Oda sometimes has a very hard time due to world building issues between show versus tell. It seems to be like a very hard aspect of writing. He's been juggling back and forth recently. Yo, Silver's in the chat. What's up, Silvers? Who the traitor is only serves to prove how incompetent the heads on our side are. They know there is a leak, yet they make no strides to find them, then are shocked when their plans fall apart. Absolutely. I've been saying this since the jump, Silvers, and I completely agree with you. If they were clueless to begin with, it'd be somewhat more justifiable, but they would still be stupid just to not be like, this is supposed to be a serious event, so you got to think about stuff. What if someone betrayed us? What would we do? What's our plan? Only the highest authorities can have information. If something's going wrong, where the leak is. Obvious stuff like that. But There's been so many logical flukes so far in Wano that it's almost impossible to take the arc seriously so far, in terms of it's almost not believable to buy into how much they're supposed to care about what's going on when they don't act like it. Say you want to live, Kaido? What if that actually happened? Oh my god. Mother says, I'll live, it's just bruised. And your mother is diagnosing it. I don't know. They're not necessarily great judges of actual medical value, but you know. Is it like in the joint? Which toe is it on? Do I think all the strats will actually be relevant and important again? In my opinion, I think that the Straw Hats, and this goes along with their dreams, they'll be important only when they need to be important. So once we reach like the final end, the stretch of One Piece, I think then they'll come back to relevancy. What parallels do you see Kid having to Luffy's Gear Second? Gear Third is the massive metal limbs. Gear Fourth could be strapping metal to his person and levitating Magneto style and big spring loaded punches. I have not seen Stampede, but I've seen pictures of like Bullet's Devil Fruit. Some of the things that Bullet does with his Devil Fruit, I think that, you know, Kid can do that as well. But as far as Gear Second, there aren't a whole lot of. I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe he like. Maybe he has metal behind him, and it's kind of like Mistborn, where he uses force to push off of the metal behind him, and it sends his body flying really fast in a direction. Or maybe Kid could actually like fly if he just like, you know, uses like the magnetic force to push against metal to fly back and forth. That would be cool. Dritz, who is a better character, Shirka or Farness? I think Farness is a better character. I love Shirka, but Farness has made so many gains. There's been so much inner dialogue, so many moments for her character. I mean, Farness is absolutely just a godly character. She takes it over Shirka, but Shirka's like the best child character of like all time for me that I've read so far. Absolutely amazing. Just what do you think happened to everyone in Wano? Why is Kinemon and the others alone now? I'm confused by this whole situation. Well, I mean, one, I don't really care. But two, what I think would happen is basically all communications got lost, the ports got blown up. I mean, we kind of saw the montage of it in the last chapter. That kind of seems to be the main thing that happened. So they're like quote unquote stuck in a place with no communication because like, no, there's like those big Denden Mushis that connect between the territories. They could have just taken those out and cut them off, and then, you know, they can't talk to anyone. I feel like that's exactly what happened. What we learned, was it 2 chapters ago or 1 chapter ago? However long it was ago, I feel like that's exactly what happened. Everyone's just like, you know, they could be doing a Big Mom Pirates and just AFKing, or they could be like doing their own thing, but it just, from Kinemon's perspective, all was supposed to be lost. Dritz, where do you see the story going after this arc? Well, I feel like we're still basically. I feel like the Yonko saga is still going to be here after this arc. Elbaf would be the primary place to go because you have to go somewhere else where the plot is relevant in terms of, you know, we have to find another poneglyph. Elbaf seems to be like the number one spot to house a poneglyph due to mythological reasons. I'm going to turn on my fan real quick here too. Oh, excellent. I know my post is going to be flying soon. But yeah, Elbaf I expect to be next. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I also expect Whether it be Big Mom or Shanks, I feel like that's going to be, whatever the last Yonko is before Blackbeard, that will be like their time. It's Big Mom bested by a waterfall. Luffy stopped by a missing bridge. Lol. I mean, listen, we're just playing it on hardcore right now. Would I read One Piece if Sanji was the protagonist? No. Am I saving the stream? I don't know. Was there really? Here's the thing. Like, I've been debating this. I might just upload streams onto a secondary channel so that people can watch them there if they want to. But like, I feel like I haven't had a productive stream in quite a bit of time. So the play might just be to upload them on a secondary channel. We'll see. That might be the play, because this is a chapter. As someone pointed out to me earlier, there's not a whole lot of discussion concerning the chapter, so the stream isn't necessarily popping, as one would say. Dritz, do you think we will ever see the rumble balls used by someone else aside from Chopper? What do you think would happen if a Smile user took some, or an Emission Paramecia user like Robin and Moria? Do I think we'll ever see? No, I don't think so. That would be a very, very interesting prospect if it actually happened. That would be interesting. Oh, I would actually have to go back and refresh my mind on the. Has there been an explanation as to what the rumble balls actually do? There was, right? I'll have to go back and reread them, honestly. Realistically, when do you think One Piece will end? I say 7 to 9 years. So it is 2019, so I would say 2026 to 2027. Something like that. Just as you see the house move when they talk about the harem wars. No, I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention, so I did not. Dritz Archives. Well, things I do have a secondary channel. It's supposed to be like my gaming channel, but I kind of stopped recording and stopped playing games for the past 2.5 months. So what I may do is I may just upload random videos onto that secondary channel, like streams. Maybe I'll upload gaming stuff onto that channel when I'm not working on this channel. It'll be like Mahler and his EFAP. Yes, please do that. Last week you started the stream early and I couldn't make it. All right, I'll have to do it. Well, I'll have the link to my secondary channel on this channel, like in this description. Once I'm done streaming and we take it from there. Will Kaido get a raid suit? I feel like it's necessary. This 2 week. Dritz, what are some expectations you have for Blackbeard, story-wise, power-wise, etc.? So now that we've got more confirmation about the rock stuff, I expect there to be a very good motivation and backstory connecting why Blackbeard wants to do the stuff that he does. That's almost absolutely necessary for Blackbeard at this point, because unlike Luffy, Blackbeard seems to have a purpose and a desire for the things he wants to do. So I really want to see that fleshed out. Why does Blackbeard want to do the things he wants to do, to the extent that he's willing to do X, Y, and Z to get them? That will be very interesting. So we need like a backstory for Blackbeard. However it connects to the Celestial Dragons, Rock's captain, you name it, that needs to happen. I'm assuming it's going to be connected to the Will of D and possibly depends on how important they are. But his mother. Also, I need to put my black screen back up. How important his mother is, because it seems like he might have pulled an ace where he got the Marshall name from his mom's side. So we'll see what happens there. Could have something to do with the slaves. We don't know yet. But yeah, I expect that. In terms of power, I expect him to be on Pirate King level, if you wanted to consider that a level in terms of strength, maybe even having surpassed that. I do buy into the theory of Blackbeard having 3 devil fruits or something like that with 3 powers. I don't know I know how Luffy will win, but I don't know how Luffy's going to counter that. But yeah, power-wise, he's going to be absolutely insane. I've been saying before that I feel like when Blackbeard gets to the next main stage of his plan, that he will basically jump in power from, maybe the weakest Yonko currently to the strongest one, definitively. But very, very interested in how much does Blackbeard actually know. And the real dynamic that I kind of want to see fleshed out is choice. Where this is something really highlighted, where it's if you find out the truth, maybe you'll come to a different decision than we did. I kind of want to see the different avenues of thought processes that go into deciding what you want to do with the knowledge gained from learning the truth. That is a concept I very, very, very much like. It would be amazing, actually. I would really, really like that. It's Nami versus Boa for the title of the Pirate Queen. Well, Nami has an infinite amount more evidence for the title of Pirate Queen. So I would say Nami, but Boa would also be the next candidate down from that, alongside Vivi or something. My boy Zach says, I think you should upload the streams on a secondary channel, but also clip certain reactions or parts of reactions, parts of the story that are just that good or just that bad. Make at least 1 to 2 discussions on the main channel per week. My 2 cents. Well, the thing is, if I wanted to get the channel poppin', Zach, I would probably just bring back the neck to necks and use that as a supplementary filler for whenever I'm doing my longer videos. Because that's what I'm kind of turning into a Mauler type of channel where I have these huge, dissections or huge videos. Outside of, I'll maybe have a theory every once in a while. It's up to me to choose how to change that. But yeah, the secondary channel may just be used as a backwards catalog, so I don't fuck up the algorithms for my videos on this channel. I love the idea of Blackbeard being from the Winter Island where people can't sleep or they'll freeze to death. Hence, he's going to use his fruit to create permanent nightmare. Also, why he attacked Drum Island. Oh, that would make him very, very similar to Madara. Permanent nightmare, infinite Tsukiyomi. Just, can you tell us a little bit about the story you're writing? If you want to, I could, yeah. I think it's going crazy right now. Are there any members of the D's we have not seen yet? Yeah, I think so. Will Luffy versus Blackbeard be a 1v1? It should be a 1v1, yes. But, as I said before, I think Blackbeard's essentially going to throw the fight at the end, giving Luffy the title. Hopefully that's wrong, though. I would really like just an actual man fight, to the death or something. That would be amazing. Well, I think Blackbeard's third fruit would be, personally, I think it's a mythical zone. I agree. I think it's a mythical zone. So far, he's got a pretty good trend going. The strongest Paramecia, Whitebeards. He's got the strongest Logia, according to himself, which is the darkness fruit. So if you're going by what should be the strongest, maybe Kaido doesn't have the strongest mythical zone fruit. Seems like a weird thing, but maybe he doesn't. But the two popular ideas, and I didn't make these up. It's he either gets the dragon fruit from Kaido, or he gets Marco's fruit to complete the betrayal, where he has Whitebeard's fruit. After killing Whitebeard, he stole the fruit from Thatch. And then the third, the biggest betrayal, he kills Marco and takes Marco's fruit, and he becomes, a dark phoenix. It would look weird on Blackbeard, but I feel like any zone would look weird from Blackbeard using it. But that's the way I imagine it going. Unless there's like another zone introduced past Kaido, that's just like more appropriate, I would guess. Yo, Brandon Arnold, my man. Have I seen Romance Dawn? I've read Romance Dawn, but I haven't seen it. The animation looks on it. I maybe it's just me. This is an aesthetic thing for me. I do not like the plastic. Like the current One Piece anime looks almost plastic in nature with like how shiny characters are. It reminds me of like certain hentais where like it's just everything's shiny. But I did not like the promotional material for Romance Dawn. It just looked to me like so oversaturated. If that's the thing, like too colorful. But it's been like that for a while, so it is what it is. But I haven't seen it. I've just read it. Dritz, if One Piece ends without Blackbeard and Akainu's defeat, One Piece is ruined. Thoughts? Well, I mean, it would certainly be anticlimactic, but as much as I would like to hop on the bandwagon with you, Mabob, it depends on how it happened. Execution is incredibly important. So maybe there's some way, somehow, that could be executed in a manner which wouldn't ruin it. I don't know. We want Snickers? I know you want Snickers. One Piece ends in 5 years. Thoughts? Well, it's a major cap. I mean, the editors basically came out and said that Oda that can't happen, which doesn't matter. The main importance from that Oda interview is that there's intent behind. Is there intent behind it? Does Oda want to end it as soon as possible? And for someone like myself who has been arguing on the side that One Piece has been on a steady decline in terms of quality, if I entertain the idea that Oda is rushing, so to speak, One Piece, it would validate all of the fears that I've had for the series that have been growing over the past 2 years. So it depends upon what perspective you take. If Oda's just capping the whole time, it is what it is. It depends on how you want to see it. Marco's coming to this arc anyway, so Blackbeard might come through. Yeah, I think this is the arc. If it's anything like Marineford, like Oda said it was, then this would be the perfect place for Blackbeard to get a third fruit, or this time period at least. Because, I mean, the story, Oda said 85%. We'll be very close to the end of the series after Wano. Do I think Dragon and Luffy will ever meet? And if so, when? Yeah, I think they will meet. I think it's going to be very, very important for getting Luffy onto like the entire narrative for what the series has, what the series has been about since the beginning, since Luffy hasn't cared yet. I think like that Dragon meeting and the potential, if Oda does explore like the Luffy's mom side of the stuff, that will be kind of like the tie-in to get Luffy to get to a certain point in terms of his development. Am I going to see Stampede? I am not. I am not. One, I don't have a car, and I'm not going to walk or bike my butt to the movie theater. It's not worth that much effort for me. Maybe if I had a car, I would go see it, but And this has nothing to do with me being the drag down. I've said this before. This is whenever I was even, chipper about the series. Outside of arguing like ships, I'm not too big into the One Piece movies, and I haven't seen a majority of them. I've only seen the first one, I think the third one, Strong World, Film Gold, and that's it. I haven't seen Film Z. I haven't seen Baron Omatsuri. I haven't, all the other ones. The mind control sword one. Haven't seen that one. I just usually, for me, in my experience, most anime movies are just not good. And I've watched animated movies prior to me watching One Piece. The experience has generally been, it's like, I'm really kind of just watching this so like I can get that one cool scene that I want. Like whenever I was watching, the Inuyasha movies, I was like, I really just want to see shipping moments between Kagome and Inuyasha. So yeah, I like that part. So like that, I used to be huge into Inuyasha, by the way. That was my favorite series for a stretch of time. Absolutely obsessed with that series. It's still a good series. Not amazing, but solid. That's kind of when I go through, like I watch Stronger. I'm like shipping goggles on. I like that. Objectively speaking, is the movie all flames and fire? Not really. It's okay. Film Gold was looked amazing, but wasn't like stellar. I feel like there's only so much you can do whenever you have an animated series that's so long. The main appeal of the series is like the actual plot that's going on. So when you make like a separate, almost mini arc that's a condensed down of like all of this time you would go spend putting in the stuff, it's like so. I'm not expecting too much from animated movies because like just the nature of the medium it's hard to do. Superhero movies get it way better than animated movies. It's how can you distinguish between destiny because the writer said so? Like Naruto and One Piece, according to you, is straight destiny, but is berserk with the idea of evil pulling the strings. It's many of these series, Sean, I think that's how you say your name, Siyun. Siyun O? Many of these series follow like the exact same pattern where it has something to do with destiny. And a lot of it is just in how you execute that. Do you lay it on thick? Do you lay it on really, really hard? How do you tell your story? A lot of stories are basically the same premise, heroes' journeys. It just depends on how you tell them. Like the way Naruto handled it was absolute trash because it went against the entire narrative of the story and it was pushed beyond belief. One Piece, it's been like, it depends on how it's going to go, but One Piece, it's to be determined because I don't know what the ending is like. But if there's issues with One Piece, it's not. It's due to the character writing as opposed to the idea of destiny. Because the writer said so, it was basically just like a substitute for ass pull and just executing shit horribly without spending the time to set it up. Just what do you see all the Straw Hats doing by the end of the series, such that the journey just continuing the sail? Depends on how you see the series ending, Victor. Now, like as opposed to most people, I think the story has been set up in a way that that for me until proven otherwise, I feel like Luffy is going to live by the end of the series, and at the end of Romance Dawn, the ending of Romance Dawn was a 15-year time skip where Luffy would basically look like Shanks, and he got woken up from a nap, and it was Nami waking him up, and he had his crew there, and they basically sailed on happily ever after. I think there's going to be a bit more complexity with that with One Piece, but generally the same kind of theme. Because the only reason the Roger Pirates broke up is because Roger broke the crew up because their time was done. If Luffy lives by the end of the series, at the end of the series, unless he's done with adventuring, there's no reason for him to disband the crew. So if you want the crew to disband and then go off and do their own things, and Luffy lives, you have to think of another reason for, why would you even do that? Maybe he did all there is to do. Why would Luffy want to be away from his friends? So, and I don't know what the right answer would be from there. I don't think there's any clear signs as to what would be the case outside of, them sailing on happily ever after, doing their stuff. Maybe they split up and the crew like sections off like how it was before. The ships get formed, the crew does their own thing. Sanji does this all blue stuff. Maybe the idea of pirates at the end of the series is, all their like Luffy's crew's bounties get completely wiped, and they're good to go, and they can go enjoy the world how they want to see it. Maybe like Nami and Luffy go off, draw a map of the world. Sanji dies. It all depends on what happens. It's hard to say. Jarrett, what is something One Piece can take away from the other big three in terms of writing? So Naruto and Bleach fighting. I would say One Piece is, in terms of the shonen stuff, the biggest weakness of One Piece is fighting, which is kind of weird because Oda has a fairly fleshed out magic system, but the choreography, time dedication, the fighting has basically just been torn apart in terms of, for me, like I'm not like super I don't really enjoy the fighting in One Piece because I feel like the world building has gotten so big, and Oda's kind of admitted to this. Like, I can't really fight things anymore because I have so much story to tell. There's so much potential with the One Piece magic system, but I feel like it falls hard. The other two series do fighting in a lot more enjoyable way. Preferred Songo and Moroku. Those were two good. That was a good pairing. Moroku was like, I'm not a huge fan of Moroku's archetype and the way it was pulled up, but Moroku was all right. It was solid. Songo was great though. Have I seen Joker? I have not seen Joker. Dritz. Yo. Zoro has had an affinity towards armament hockey. Would you be surprised if Zoro had Rio all along? Not particularly surprised. I mean, to some degree because he couldn't cut some things, but you can just chalked up to mastery. But yeah. Zoro dies from a kidney stone. Oh, that would be good. That'd be good. Imagine by the end of the series, Sanji ends up being in a wheelchair. Ooh, depending on how that happened, that would actually be very, very interesting. How will Kid get introduced into the war? For me, he'll probably just show up. Maybe one of the other supernovas are like, we teamed up, even though Kid said he was done teaming up. Team, yeah. Maybe Kid just starts causing havoc. Dritz, can you tell us what I think about for each Berserk arc that you didn't like story wise or character wise? Can you tell us? Can you tell us think for each Berserk arc that you didn't like story wise or character wise? Sen, can you actually rephrase that for a second? Are you asking what aspects of the Berserk arcs I didn't like story wise or character wise, or for each arc, right? Just like what I didn't like about each arc. Am I surprised by Odin's look? Not really. he kind of looked exactly how like I thought he was. I mean, maybe the facial structure, maybe not exactly how I looked, but like in terms of like care and overall build, he looked exactly like how the silhouettes made him look. Which is like, maybe were the silhouettes that important? He's not that shocking, so it's like whatever. Still seems odd. Maybe there'll be more payoff for that. I don't know. But it's whatever. I'm not super shocked by it. Is it plausible for Kid to have Sea Stone on his metal limbs like Smoker's weapon could that immobilize Kaido? It's hard to say like how Oda would handle like if it's part of your Devil Fruit and you have Sea Stone in a part like the metal's like being attached by his Devil Fruit powers. How does that work? But theoretically, sure. My bad. I meant to say one thing you didn't like for each arc in Berserk, story or character wise. All right, see, let's Black Swordman. What did I not like story wise or character wise? No, I actually like the Black Swordsman a bit. What did I like about the Black Swordsman? Character wise, I think it was actually all really solid. Teresa had a good arc and adulthood moment. Baron Slug, I really like I really like Baron Slug. Guts was great during that arc. Puck was great during that arc. I forget the deformed guy's name, but he was good during that arc. I think if there's anything, I would have liked to have had maybe a little bit more time with the deformed guy. I guess story wise, it's like it was the first arc. If anything, it could have been a little bit. I don't know if it needed to be longer either. Maybe just some of the logic that could have happened. It could have been more sound together. But yeah, I mean overall, I really like that arc. Golden Age. I mean, Golden Age is. I mean, that's a 10 out of 10 for me. Character wise, Golden Age is amazing. I mean, Casca, Griffith, and Guts were amazing during that arc. Character wise, oh, it's like everyone did pretty well. What I would have liked about the Golden Age, the one criticism about the Golden Age is that some of the antagonists I feel like needed more time to be built up that were human. So like the war for Midland and the pervert king that wanted to rape Griffith again, that could have. I feel like he could have been fleshed out a bit more, especially his underling, like the big black guy that was technically, beat Guts when Guts had his sword was almost broken. I feel like that entire section in terms of the hierarchy and that world building could have been better. And also Casca's antagonist, like basically the meme guy, leader of the long ass group of people that Casca ended up defeating. I wish that would have been more serious and would have been a bigger win for Casca as a swordsmanship in terms of fighting goes, because Casca still doesn't have that so far. Although there were lots of camaraderie moments within the Band of Hawk, it could have been better to have seen them fight more together in terms of if they all had their own roles. They had their roles they played, but it would have been nice to have seen a couple life and death moments between them. Like Corcus on the battlefield could have been improved a bit more. what I think of the NBA season so far. I mean, it's only been 2 games, so it's just like, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I just got done before I was streaming. I got done watching the highlights between the Thunder and the Warriors. The Warriors is literally just Steph versus everyone. It is crazy. I feel bad for the Warriors. Is it going to be a Gear 5th and Wano? I don't think so. I do not think so. I've just started reading Berserk. Should I leave? Oh, I guess I'll stop talking about it. Whoops. Just with the shots, ever find out about Luffy losing 10 years of lifespan? In a perfect world, they would, and it would be a great character moment, but this is One Piece, so you never know. I hope so. That would be great. I'll be looking forward to that more than anything we've seen in Wano so far, or will see in Wano so far, from what we know. Oh no, I did not save the stream. Seyun oh about me shitting on Korra. Oh. I hate Korra. Korra's like awful. Best Wano char I mean the best Wano character was Hawkins, hands down. I mean, he's the best character in Wano, period. And that's why Oda had to do him nasty. Just you couldn't make Roger admit that he liked Hunter x Hunter more than One Piece. I was counting on you. I was trying to make him admit that, you cannot use the, if Hunter x Hunter didn't have hiatus, it would be like, right up there with One Piece tied. The hiatus excuses cannot be used for determining like how much you enjoyed something while you were reading it. This is like, prisoner of the moment type of stuff. Now, that can affect, it depends, there's arguments for it, but it depends on the quality of chapters that you get. But I mean, you'll see there, a lot of people, Roger's just treading the ground lightly because he wanted to be eaten alive by One Piece fanboys for admitting that he likes a series almost as much as he likes One Piece. In the One Piece community, if you admit that you like something more than One Piece, you're just like, is this guy gay? And the fans are just, crazy about it. Thank you very much, Beyond. Dritz, you said Luffy has to prove himself. What does he have to do? Prove himself for what, specifically? Because I said Luffy has to prove himself in many areas, not just one. Goat X Goat. Yeah, I'll be uploading this stream on a secondary channel, Devonte. Yeah, just he was playing dumb with the hiatus excuse. The thing is, like, I was actually surprised King was so candid about that, but King was like straight up like, yeah, Hunter x Hunter is better than One Piece. And I saw people in the comments like, King, they're not even the same series. You can't say one's better than the other. And I was like, this guy's fucking hilarious, dude. Oh, well, at least King's willing to admit it. Also, King had my back in that stream with the Berserk winking. It wasn't even solicited. He just said straight up, I didn't mention anything about Berserk. He just said, yeah, arguably the best series ever is Berserk. And I was like, God damn. King, my man. I knew King read and liked Berserk, but I didn't know he liked it that much. So that was just great to hear. Berserk wink. I'm all for it. A neck to neck with King about Berserk. Ooh, no, that would be spicy. Because I know it's been years, but do you remember what you didn't like about the Chimera Ant arc? Oh my god, it has been so long. The thing is, like, I think I'm willing to admit it now, but I feel like a lot of it was just timing and where I was at in terms of my career, quote unquote, of watching and reading anime. If you guys know, I've never watched the Hunter x Hunter anime. I've only read the manga, and as opposed to, like, I've read the original One Punch Man, where every single drawing is a scribble, and I could read that, and I actually really enjoyed it. But the difference between, seeing an artist that is incapable of drawing well versus an artist who can draw well but just doesn't more than half the time. The Chimera Ant arc had some of the worst art I've ever seen ever, and just it completely ruined part of that, most of that arc for me, because it was just drawn so horribly. And he's been, and Takashi is so off and on with his drawings. Like, some of it's really, really great, some of it's consistent, and then it's all over the place, just scribbles. You can barely tell what's going on. And for me, during the Hunter x Hunter arc, I was like, oh my god, this is fucking impossible to read. Plus, I'll say this now, I didn't really like the idea behind the arc. It seemed so random to me. It didn't really seem like it was a part of the Hunter x Hunter world. And maybe this will be justified later, but for me, this is how I felt, and maybe I'll have different. It's just like Dragon Ball Z characters fell down from space randomly, and they're stronger than every single character in the verse. So much so that it's just like, oh, okay, well, they're just better. I barely know these guys. They have no lore or history. Just, they're fucking that good. And straight up Cell knockoffs. And I was just like, oh, dude, I do not like Dragon Ball Z. I don't like this shit. I just did not like the idea. I was like, I want to learn more about, what was going on in the world, and these aliens come down. I'm just like, I was like, oh, fuck that. I just didn't like it. And with the art, that was like a wrap for me. And that was my initial impressions of, the Chimera Ant arc reading the manga 5 years ago. I'll say right now, if I went ahead and reread it or rewatched the series, I would probably like it way better. I just haven't done it yet, and I'm willing to admit that. I was a victim of the time, I think. I just didn't like it, dude. I just didn't like it. But I think I'm wrong. And, I can look past that. If I watch the anime, it'd probably be all fine. Watch the anime. LOL. Yeah, people say a lot. Just the one you really need to read is JoJo, though. Yeah, eventually I'm going to read JoJo. When are you expecting crew emotional moments? Also, you said Luffy has to prove himself to the people of Wano. Well, I said that he should prove himself to the people of Wano. And by doing that, you would have to prove your strength. Luffy is an unproven. Even now, he's unproven in strength to us, the readers. It would be nice to see him prove his strength, although, who would be a good candidate? I don't know. It could be anyone. But as far as emotional moments, I'm not expecting any anytime soon. I feel like the setup for them would be just Unless the arc's going to go much slower than I initially anticipated. There's been like no build up between the crew whatsoever. They've barely been together for the past like 300 chapters, and it's all irrelevant. I'm not a big fan of that. What's up, Devontae? Do I like this flashback? You're talking about Odin? Just what was the last legit character moment for one of the Straw Hats? I guess it depends what your definition of character moment is, really. I mean, it's fine for them to say that, Heavy. As far as I'm concerned, people can keep saying, yo, it's like this, dude, read this, read this. I mean, for me, it doesn't really bother me that much. Yo, what's up, Sensei Leglove? But if you were asking VWQP.1, that seems like a bot name. If I like the flashback so far, no, but I don't hate it. I just don't like it. We'll see what happens as we get further into the flashback. I guess the last character moments, with the Straw Hats. Maybe Nami staying with Luffy during the Enraged Army. That would probably be the last one I can think of. That's that relates to the character, things they've done in the past, was meaningful. Sanji really didn't have many of those in Whole Cake Island. Not that we're good, at least. Who do you think from the Guts' crew will die by the end? Ooh. Hmm. Man, I have a hard time seeing people dying in Guts' crew, to be honest. I don't see any obvious flags outside of like maybe even Guts. Um mm, as a shock factor, maybe Serpico or like Ferdinand. I don't know. Roderick. Roderick could die. Maybe as a way to set up, I don't know. It depends what's going to go happen. I think Farnese is basically. I think Farnese has got enough plot armor to survive, honestly. Him and Shirka. I think Isidro if Isidro died, that would be surprising. I don't think he would die. Isma, I don't really know what her purpose is in the series. She could die. Is Sanji redeemable from all the Whole Cake Island bullshit? I mean, any character is redeemable given enough time, but it is very obvious. Well, hopefully it's not the case, but like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oda's doubling down on the characters on the characters at the moment. If they advance at some point, that would be absolutely stellar. But you know, I'm very cynical of it, considering how far we are into Wano and how things have gone into Wano. Sanji seems almost irredeemable at this point, considering Oda's writing. You think Oda will make Zoro find out what happened with Sanji and Luffy at Whole Cake Island? At this point in time, considering how out of character half the characters are acting, um, I would be surprised, but like in like an angry way, if Zoro found out and just like didn't do anything about it. The like Sanji's Germa flashback. The Germa flashback was all right. Actually, it was all right. It was not bad. It was laid on a little heavy, and there was a lot of montage stuff happening, but it was all right. I wish there would have been more defined character moments in it. I also wish it would have been longer. The timing of it seemed pretty peculiar, like in between the Cracker fight. And I know it's supposed to be like, you know, Cracker mentions Sanji, and Luffy's like, oh, don't mention Sanji, and then like they fight. And then like the flashback just began there with Sanji. I really wish there would have been more time for that, or at least more detail. But it was solid. It was solid. I particularly like Judge's role in that flashback. I like Judge at the end. You know, when Judge like nailed like put like the final nail in the proverbial coffin. That was good. I actually really liked Judge there. Dritz, the only good thing about Sanji is his sister. I can't even say that. I can't even say that. It's how excited are you for I'm going to marry Sanji? Not going to happen. There's like a 0% chance of that happening. Because I'm sure you've said it before, but could you explain some of why you dislike Sanji? Oh, the classic. Along with why do I hate Brook, we get the why do I hate Sanji. Sanji is a morally reprehensible character that exists within an archetype that I do not like. So we got the worst of both worlds for me, and I'm okay with characters being bad if they eventually grow out of them, but the point of One Piece is antithetical to that, and it highlights just how awful Sanji is as a character. I did not help Mr. Beast plant trees. I did not. Just Reiju's second best waifu to fight me. I hate Reiju. I think Reiju's crap. So you're allowed to like her. She is hot, but as a character, she is just a complete useless waste of space. Such a huge waste of potential. She is Vivi mixed with Doctorine. I don't know. Was Reiju fleshed out enough to hate? It's kind of the opposite of that, where Reiju wasn't fleshed out really at all, and she's retarded, which makes me hate her. Didn't know Dritz hates Brook. Oh yeah, I cannot stand Brook, and I know it's like a sin in the One Piece world, but I literally I cannot stand Brook. I heard you talk about dojins, but I like the way you spell it, dojins. Like a fan made story. What website? Fan fictions are fan made stories. Dojins are basically hentai. Yo, just what's the best possible ending for Berserk? I don't know if there's a best possible ending. Look, the thing with Berserk is like I don't. Everything, most of everything has been amazing so far that like I feel like there could be a lot of endings that would be satisfying, even if they're like sad endings, happy endings. It depends on how it plays out. Um, I don't have one thing said I was like this would be a good ending. I feel like a lot of things could be a good ending. Berserk is on average very well executed. I often forget that Brook exists. I'm surprised that he has enough presence for you to feel any type of way about him. It's because he had so much potential that was literally thrown away into the dump along with most of the other Straw Hats. I was a big fan of Brook during Thriller Bark and just the character writing after Thriller Bark leading into the new world. Oh man, it was not good for Brook. It was not good for Sanji. Oh man, it was not good for Chopper. It was not good for Robin. For me, it was rough. Show the pillow? No, the pillow I have to save for the review. I see Joker trolling in the chat. Classic. The ones where they are in a constant state of a gag character. We don't need three gag characters with little to no serious moments. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on Frankie? I mean, he's also another one of those ghost characters where he's essentially irrelevant. Um, it is Frankie's weird. Like Frankie started out like all right. I wasn't obsessed with Frankie as a character even by the end of Enies Lobby. He was cool. But then, much like many of the other later add-ons to the crew, it was quite obvious that he wasn't really important and he was just kind of there to fill out spots, even though his spot is not necessary on the crew. Um, and then he kind of just got taken nowhere with it. It's part of the result of having a large cast of main characters. It's really hard to balance them if you don't really take on the responsibility of giving them all time, motivations, and fleshed out stuff. Frankie was cool. The anime made him better with the voice actor, which is also the voice actor for Bon Clay, does a stand-up job voicing both Bon Clay and Frankie. And Frankie's voice acting is tier 1, as well as Frankie has an amazing theme that plays with him. But Frankie was all right, but he was never like amazing for me, and he just never really went anywhere. Just can you see Odin next chapter showing King's Hockey and taming the huge mountain animal? Yeah, I mean, probably going to happen. I would not be surprised if it did. What are my top 3 favorite moments in Naruto? Oh gosh. Um, Rock Lee versus Gara. I would say, oh my god, like I would say like most of mine are fights. Honestly, this is the way they played out. Itachi versus Sasuke was awesome. Hmm. Oh my god, I don't know. A lot of my favorite fight parts of Naruto are related to the fights. Jiraiya's death, I like that part a lot too. But man, like there's so many. Pain's fight was amazing. I love Pain. And Django, yeah. He does Django's voice too. I forgot about that. Naruto Sasuke. So is it safe to say that you're not a big fan of the Straw Hat Crew, but maybe you're a fan of another crew, maybe Kids Crew, even though we know nothing about them? I am no long. I was a fan of the Straw Hat Crew. Now I am not a fan of the Straw Hat Crew, and I am a fan of no crew right now. Um, that's not a fan about any individual crew because we haven't really seen a whole lot of other crews to really like much about them. For me, at least. Kids crews is irrelevant. We have Killer and then Kid, and there's really not much to talk about there. Law's crew's irrelevant. We just have Law. I love Law. I like Kid. Big Mom's crew is one giant meme. Kaido's crew is underwhelming. We haven't really seen Shanks, but I love Shanks. Blackbeard's crew, just kind of there, you know. Same with Shanks' crew, like they're kind of there. They have some lore to them, not really much to go off of. I like Blackbeard, but as far as complete crews, I don't really. There's no real entire crew that I vibe with right now. I remember you saying that you saw Dofi as a great character, but just a good villain in comparison to Crocodile, who was the reverse. Can you expand on that? Oh yeah, sure. If you guys don't know, Crocodile is one of my favorite villains in One Piece. Not like overall, but I like Crocodile quite a bit. And often comes down to people talk about who are the greatest antagonists, and it's kind of weird with antagonists. An amazing antagonist will have an amazing character, also having amazing motivations, but they also need to be executed very well, and it kind of shows in their respective arcs. Dofi as a character is a great character. His fight wasn't really good, and him as a villain was executed okay. The real downfall for Dofi as an antagonist is the fact of how muddled and messy Dressrosa as an arc was. And a lot of that for me comes down to the fact that Oda combined multiple arc ideas into Dressrosa. I think it just panned out in some of like the worst pacing shown in like any series ever. And it took away from Dofi quite a bit. Along with the fact that, a lot of Dofi's underlings didn't really add much to Dofi himself. Dofi was neither intimidating, he was charismatic, but didn't really have any relationship with only had a relationship with Law, was essentially non-existent with the rest of the Straw Hats. Luffy was just kind of there. There wasn't a whole lot of involvement in terms of the protagonist related to the antagonist. They just kind of came there because Law told them to. And then even on Law's behalf, and this is probably something that a lot of people usually say when it comes to Law and Dofi, is that there could have been more there when it came down to the final showdown. The flashback was amazing with Corazon. I love that flashback. But in terms of like getting the payoff with it, with Law's role in the fight, Treble being there, definitely underwhelming, I would say. Alabasta as an arc and as a saga was much better executed than Dressrosa. Crocodile was also, even though Crocodile's fight, much like Dofi's fight, has some X's and O's that you have to cross out for being like, Jesus Christ, how'd that happen? Crocodile is, in terms of being a protagonist, he plays the role of this simple, intimidating antagonist that needs to be taken down. But what propels Crocodile for me is the fact that, unlike Dressrosa, the character motivations were building up arcs prior to that. And there were character moments building up to, because a lot of what Crocodile does is inherently connected to Vivi, who has, branching paths within the Alabasta royalty. Vivi being built up with the crew, what Vivi means to the crew for that arc. It expands the Straw Hats' motivations and character, what they're willing to do for Vivi, and kind of defines their role in the entire mess of the war to begin with, which adds on to Crocodile as an obstacle, which goes to its head whenever, Crocodile and Luffy first have their face-off, and they're kind of like on the same playing field, where they think very similar to each other in terms of how they see the world. We don't see as much of that anymore with Luffy and the villains, which is something I actually liked about the Crocodile stuff, where they both agreed that Vivi was stupid, but Luffy was going to do this anyway. We don't really see that anymore. And also, Luffy was there to challenge Vivi, which all goes back to Crocodile. And the Crocodile was probably one of the most intimidating characters we've seen so far in One Piece in terms of playing the role as the antagonist. I mean, he was just so far above Luffy. Serious injury, completely making a mockery of him, and it was in an entertaining way. Plus, Robin was there. Very well done as far as I'm concerned. Plus, the overall role, the scheming that Crocodile did. I mean, he basically schemed in a similar fashion that Dofi did, but with a couple more elements added on to it. A lot more subterfuge, which I thought for me played off very well. So Crocodile doesn't have the most amazing motivations, but in terms of effectiveness as being an antagonist, he played the role of an antagonist for me much more effectively than, say, people like Dofi did, or Katakuri is not even really an antagonist, or even someone like Enel. Crocodile played much more, and it goes down a lot to the arc structure and the arc quality. It's just a simple matter of fact. Some villains had really good potential, but just the way the arc was structured kind of just made it not as entertaining. Because how an arc is pulled off, execution affects the villain who's leading the arc. So, for instance, as a character, I like the concept of Kuro. You'll often hear me say that I like Kuro. But Syrup Village, if we're being honest, is... do I have to say more? Kuro had a cool concept. Execution was a bit off, as far as I'm concerned. So... and that's how I see it with Crocodile. Crocodile and Lucci were by far the most effective antagonists in One Piece, which is curious because they're also some of the most shallow antagonists. Lucci's bad guy needs to be defeated. Crocodile's bad guy needs to be defeated. But the things that pull them together are the characters that connect in between them. That was missing in Dressrosa. I like Crocodile now less than I used to. Same here, Michael. I do not like Crocodile as much as I used to because I feel like, much like most characters that have been in the series so far, they're basically going to be used as a means of helping out Luffy. This will change whenever we get to the point when we see more of Crocodile in the New World. Maybe we get to learn more about how he knew about Pluton. That would be great. Oh, and Vivi, third best waifu. I mean, listen, it's your waifu list. You can like your waifus. You know, mine's pretty generic. Nami, Robin, Boa. So, Dofi getting raped in prison. Dritz, do you think Big Mom being a Wano is annoying? She's going to be in 2 arcs, and I personally think we had enough of her on Whole Cake Island. It all comes down to, and I'm gonna be preaching this until the day I die in my streams, Nest, but it comes down to how's it executed. And Big Mom, it's hard to get worse than what Big Mom has been in Wano so far. I mean, it's been a complete disgrace. And she's been annoying. She has been extremely annoying and just, it's indefensible in terms of how bad it's been for Big Mom. And part of that is also on the fact that the first 2 acts of Wano do not do justice for the overall goal of Wano. Wano has a weak cast of characters with not a lot of meaningful time spent on any individual one, leading up to a climax. The Straw Hats are disconnected, the Wano characters disconnected, the plot lines are a little bit of everywhere, and Big Mom being there doesn't help, and Kaido's just kind of some outside force. So, a lot of disconnected, you don't really feel... Wano doesn't feel like what Wano was supposed to be 50-something chapters into the arc, which is pretty crazy, but, that's how it is right now. Just could you upload last chapter stream on the second channel you're gonna make, please? I do not have the last chapter stream. I deleted that baby. So I'm sorry. I cannot do that one. Perona is number 1. Her laugh gets me harder than Sea Prism. I mean, Perona's alright, man. Perona's alright. I don't think Perona's in my top 10 though. But Perona's solid. I'll admit that. Perona's solid. Smoker by far gets the worst Oda treatment. I mean, it was amazing until the post time skip. So I mean, he's essentially getting the par for the course right now. But yeah, I mean, oh my god, I love Smoker so much, but the post time skip has just been. Punk Hazard was so awkward to him. I don't know why that was there in Punk Hazard. I'm okay with him losing the law, but like, I don't know. Smoker could be so much more than he is, I think. I'm really hoping he gets some redemption, but who knows? Smoker will always be among my favorites, though. I like Smoker. $2 from Olympic Games U. Do you think Fujitora is in Wano at this time? Not right now, Olympic. If he's going to be here, he'll be here near the end of it, I think, because it would be hard to say. It would be hard to justify him getting there earlier. Solo Dolo age, relatively speaking, has nothing to do with how strong you'll get in a couple of years. Do you think the editors are putting too much pressure and influence on Oda? I think that's the issue, is they're not putting pressure on Oda. I think that's the opposite. I feel like they just, in my opinion, given how I've seen how Naito conducts himself, along with the other editors, they're either all retarded or they're all yes men. which makes them all retarded. Um, I feel like Oda is surrounded by younger gentlemen who are fans of him who will never tell him anything he doesn't want to hear. Nice look, by the way. Yo, thanks, games. I meant in the past. Oh, I mean, it's possibility, yeah. I mean, I think he could have been in Wano in the past, but at the same point in time, I'm not going to make a point to say that everyone that has ever had a kimono has lived there. I mean, he is very, very. He seems extremely Japanese, so he could have been in Wano at some point. Um, but yeah, I mean that could make sense. I mean, because from Fujitora, he has seen the devastation that warlords can cause, and we know of at least one warlord that has been to Wano, Moria. If Mihawk has been there, Mihawk would be one as well. So it kind of meets all of the quotas, although it's like there's been no mention of him yet, so it's kind of hard to say. He seems very Japanese, but not the Wano style Japanese. I mean, yeah, you could say that. But like he does eat a lot of like Japanese ethnic foods. He looks the part. He has the kimono, but at the same point in time, Jinbei also wears a kimono all the time, and uh, what are they calling Japanese clogs or something? And he's not from Wano. Maybe he's been to Wano at some point in time. We'll find out. We'll find out. Do I think Hawkins and Sabo are dead? No, I don't think they're dead. Sabo dying would just be awful, and not like the good kind of awful. It'd just be the bad kind of awful. Hawkins dying would be. I mean, I just don't think it's possible. It would just be like so random, especially the way it happened. Okay, I gotta ask because I don't keep up with the interviews. Why do you think that? So there are basically two reasons I think that, Craig, that are like I can reference at some point in time, but Oda has said in an interview basically that this is it's not word for word, but Oda basically implied that one of his editors basically thinks everything's awesome, and Oda's like he's not sure if he can trust him. Like he was saying it in a joking manner that's polite. But I think there is some truth to it, and this was based on Naito, which is like this says everything's great and amazing. Whereas in the past with Oda's old editors, he had an actual older editor who basically challenged Oda a lot on his ideas, and I think that's kind of what helped Oda polish himself. But considering how young the editors are and how they seem to be more advertisers, like they're doing more advertising than it seems they're actually doing work on the series, I have a hard time believing that they're just anything but yes men. But it's my own theory. I have not been able to confirm it, but it's my idea. Do you watch BoJack Horseman? I do not. I do not. Oda kills random characters: Virgo, Monet, Pedro. They've never been confirmed to be dead. Not dead until confirmed dead. Hashtag lol. Jetsman Island. That's my favorite island. I can open up this other tab over here. Thoughts on Denjiro's daughter is Tashigi? Aren't you just saying it's Koshiro? Almost finished Oathbringer. Should have paced myself slower. Honestly, can't wait till the series gets adapted. Maybe when it hits the 7th, 8th book. Oh, the Stormlight greatness. How do you feel so far about Oathbringer, Prospect? I loved Oathbringer, but there was a specific part of Oathbringer that really irritated me while I was reading it. And like it irritated me. Was like, can we get this over with so far? Like I felt like it was being drawn out so much. Like it wasn't bad in the way it happened. I just felt like it was being dragged out. Maybe it's because I just didn't like it that much, but like it wasn't like bad writing in a sense. I was just kind of annoyed by it, maybe in a good way. I'll have to reread it to get my full opinion though. Why don't you play music? Because I mean, I don't really have a lot of copyrighted music. I have been copy struck. Copy strike. I've been copyrighted twice while streaming, and you know, I don't like to be well, maybe I can fuck it, I'll just do it. Who cares if I get strike? Although the type of music I listen to, I don't know if you guys are gonna be down for it. Go ahead and what type of games are you into? RPG type of games? Honestly, dude, I have not played games in like 2 months. But the games I was into, I want to get back into playing video games once I stop being fucking lazy, is Smite and PUBG were my main 2 games. As long as I don't put on Key and Peele again, I'll never put on Key and Peele again. The Shaolin Forgiveness arc, I assume? Yes, Prospect is the Shaolin Forgiveness arc. It was like 400 plus pages. Maybe even 800. I think it might have been 800 pages. And I was like, oh no, please. I was just tired of it, man. I'm really enjoying Oathbringer, finding myself less and less wanting to skip perspectives to get back to Kaladin. The Dalinar backstory was pretty dope, honestly, made me love his character so much more. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, is like this is done in not a bad way, but like throughout the first couple of books, in my experience, I was, you know, I just wanted to get back to Kaladin, and then later on I wanted to get back to Dalinar, because Dalinar and Kaladin are so great in the Way of Kings. I really like Dalinar Way of Kings, by the way. Love Dalinar. But, like, you know, Kaladin's the boy you want to get back to because he was going through his character arc. But Kaladin is basically not even in Oathbringer. He's, like, so off-screen the entire time, so you could focus more on Dalinar and Shallan. But, oh, man, I was like, I wanted Kaladin to do stuff. But Dalinar is really, really good in Oathbringer. What his character goes through is absolutely amazing. Greatly enjoyed it. I have a couple criticisms about Oathbringer, but overall, it's not so bad. I like Oathbringer, although my favorites for the Stormlight Archive are in a row, the order they came out in. I like The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and then Oathbringer in that order, in terms of my favorites. Who did you use in Smite? Well, if I play Conquest, I am an ADC/solo main. But I play a lot of duel. I'm best with hunters, assassins, and warriors, and I'm fairly good with mages as well. I see just I have friends that play Smite, but I just don't see the appeal to it. It's not for everyone. I mean, Smite's not for everyone. I mean, I was pulled into Smite because of like the lore. Essentially, like I was like, oh, I get to play as God. That's pretty cool. And it was third person over the back. I do not like the League of Legends perspective where it's all overhead. I hated that. But Smite, I was like, this because like I was going from Xbox to PC, so I wanted something that seemed more at home. So Smite was like the perfect, transfer over, because like I used to play a lot of Gears. Smite is amazing. I honestly have had a lot of fun playing Smite. There's a sort on my PC now, so if you need a third for Apex or something, shout at me. You play Apex, Badger? I have not played Apex since like the beta. This sounds like something I would listen to when I'm ready to go to sleep. This is exactly what I listen to whenever I go to sleep. I don't know if you guys do this, but I've gotten to the feel of doing this stuff. I used to never like listen to anything when I go to bed, but now I need to listen to stuff when I go to bed. My favorite thing to do is as I'm falling asleep or as like I want to go to bed, I'll put on either like a lecture or I'll put on soft classical music that like has like an adventurous or maybe sad vibe to it. I'll put it on and then I'll just lay back in my bed and just start to like imagine stuff. Like I like to build a world in my mind and have characters run through it. I like to build storylines through it to the music. Think of scenes. It helps me like, I don't know, it helps me feel creative. Especially because like I have this own like story I'm trying to build up in my mind. And I use music to inspire me to think of stuff. It gets me into that vibe, I guess. I've mentioned I'm a Loki main, but other than that, I use Scylla in mid. See, Scylla's respectable, but you're a Loki player. That's just... Shame, Nate. Shame. Now, you can use... Loki's not a good god, so I'm all for Loki players, man. Do what you gotta do, man. I used to main Loki as well back in the day, so I've been there. Let's see, Prosper says, Words of Radiance, I think, have my favorite interlude chapters. I think, depending on how Oathbringer ends, my faves are 1, 3, 2. I miss the Shallan Yasna quips from book 1. Yasna seems forgotten. Yep, that's something I completely agree with you. That's something I did not like, and there was a particular moment in Oathbringer, I think you're well past that, if you're well past the halfway point, where Yasna comes back to the tower, and Shallan and Yasna meet for the first time, but it's off-screened. I was absolutely livid, because Yasna is my favorite female character in the Stormlight Archive. I love Yasna. She's kind of my kind of girl. And I really, really want her to be more proactive in the story and shit like that. And I was like, I need more Yasna. It's like more cowbell, baby. I need more Yasna. I wish she was more proactive, but she's going to get her own book later on. So I'll have to wait. Just Mind Palace. That's exactly what it is, man. What exactly is this song called? I like it, dude. This is an OST from The Last Guardian. Right now I have an hour-long video that is basically just relaxing OSTs from The Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus, and Ico. I agree. I have to put some podcast or lecture or out playlist from anime I like. It helps my mind take off the boring process of falling asleep. Exactly, man. I know you don't smoke weed, but you sound like a stoner. How? Alright, Michael, you need to calm down. That's a game that I still have to play. I've heard it was a disappointment, but I really want to play The Last Guardian because I was huge into Shadow of the Colossus. I cried at the end of that game, man. I was like so depressed. But I love that game so much. Has probably my favorite OSTs, maybe of any series ever, outside of, you know, like singular OSTs where it's like, you know, obviously Guts theme is above all. But man, the OSTs for Shadow of the Colossus are amazing. Dritz, have you read the mid that is Radiant? I've only read the first chapter, and it's the first chapter, so it's whatever. But the first chapter is pretty bad of Radiant, but I've heard that it gets better. Do I think Oda might kill Law in this arc? Yeah, I think he might. Law is one of those characters that's kind of set up to die. It's only a matter of time for me. Anyways, I'm off to sleep. Just want to seriously thank you for recommending the series. I'm reading One Piece for the first time now to rekindle my love. I'll catch up to your reviews soon. Good night. Yo, good night, Prospect. Love having you in the streams, man. Or girl. Whatever gender you are. It. But yeah, it looks like the stream is slowing down. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and take, like, you know, the average 5 more minutes of questions, and we're probably going to end the stream. I will private it, download it, and upload it to my secondary channel sometime tomorrow, I imagine. But I have work in the morning, so that's the way it's going to be. Oh, Michael, nice pun there. This music reminds me of Jeremy Souls stuff. I don't know who that is, Badger. I do not know who that is. Blackbeard hit Marco so hard he has to wear glasses now. Ooh, yikes. Oh, he does the Elder Scrolls OSTs. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Those are good at OSTs as well. And yeah, I can actually tell you where that vibe came from. What's up, Awu? Is Donovan coming to the Odin flashback? Donovan makes everything better. What's the secondary channel? It will be linked in the description below. Favorite wings? I have not had many wings, Papa John's, but anything spicy is good for me. Spicy and barbecue. Marco roast. I mean, it was a good roast, I must admit. Oh, man. Another week of work. Just talk about your story, please. Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm still trying to figure out basically the segments of my story. Right now, the biggest issue that I'm having right now is trying to figure out how the story structure for my story is going to go. I don't know how I want it to start necessarily. Because without going into like a tremendous amount of details, it's like the story is kind of split into 2 parts, and I'm not sure if I want to make it one part and have there be a long backstory for another part. So, because the main character essentially is betrayed by all of his best friends for reasons that relate to their character and how they view the world. And he basically has to go into it. It's kind of similar to The Legend of Zelda. I think this is somewhat the plot line for the Breath of the Wild, where he has to go to like 100 or something, 100-year sleep, and he's revived. Basically, his fortress that he was in gets removed, and it's brought back into the realm that they're in by the main heroine. And like all of the people except for like 2 or 3 from his past life are now dead, which is part of the issues just to go through. But he's been through a long life, and I don't know where I want to start the story. If I want to start it with him being like the quest for him being revived and start off with the main heroine, or if I should start from the beginning with the character's backstory, like have him build up through the narrative, be betrayed, and then begin it basically at I'll call it the time skip. and then have the time skip begin in another book with the other main character. But it's like that I'd be waiting too long to introduce her, so it wouldn't be a good thing. So what I've been thinking is I want to have the quest, the main heroine, be introduced first. Have the quest to revive him because he's part of this order, basically. That's trying. I'm trying to figure out the details, but the main idea so far is the main emphasis for my character in this series is kind of finding the meaning in life and struggling against, you know, the things that he should do versus what he wants to do. And it kind of goes back to a Jordan Peterson video. It's like responsibility is somewhat the meaning of life. My character has an odd relationship with the idea of responsibility, which relates back to me. So I don't know. I think I might have to start it in the post time skip. And what I've considered doing is, I don't know, the dynamics of this might not work out that well, but what I've considered to do, I'm actually a bit of a fan of this concept, but there are certain like deities in this universe, and one of them basically is the ruler of the order that the main character belongs to, which is basically like a stand-in for druids who kind of keep the balance of nature in the world. And I was wondering, because once the main character, he used to be a soldier. I might have to change him being a soldier, because it seems somewhat generic. But I also want to introduce his relationship with like the Achilles equivalent of my universe. But he has the standard mentor type, which will be like, I'm going to include a lot of characteristics for the mentor type that I want to be, who obviously falls at some point in time. But I want my character to go through where he feels like he found the meaning of life, and then once he gets betrayed, everything comes crashing down for him, and he's like completely apathetic towards the order that he's a part of. And I was trying to see if I could maybe have him meet the leader of the order, and there'd be like a flashback sequence there. But I have a decent amount of the heroine figured out so far. I ran this by Sage, and Sage was somewhat interested in it. Because I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to make my female character at least a bit more relatable and have her have to work for stuff. Because I want her to kind of be like a little bit of an opposite to the main character, where the main character has a fucked up life, but the heroine's like, it was completely normal for the most part. So it kind of makes it hard for her to empathize with people when she hasn't gone through as much as them. But she'll have her own issues, I suppose. But yeah, so let me see what I got here. I have to open up my thing to get it all. How many of you know who Artemis Entreri is from the Drizzt books? I don't know how many of you have actually read the Drizzt books, but there's an Artemis Entreri character kind of in there. So anyway, the main template for my main female character is kind of like the opposite of the main character, where she has a hard time empathizing with people because she doesn't really understand the perspective. But she has kind of like an ambiguous relationship with gender dynamics in terms of like, because the society they live in is going to be catered more towards, you know, at least her village is a bit more on the sexist side. So she has a very ambiguous relationship with like the gender roles that women and men have in society. But she starts off as, because I don't want her to start off as like some amazingly beautiful, you know, I just woke up a 10 out of 10. I want her to work her way into something that makes her happy. So I want my main female MC actually started out as an overweight woman who, through finding responsibility for her own meaning in life, what makes her happy, she overcomes character flaws in the way of how she views her own bigoted way of seeing the world. And it's through like the MC that I kind of want part of this to go through, because because the MC's like, I mean, he's pretty much fit. He's kind of like huge, muscly guy. So Alvita, similar to Alvita, but like work for it. It's not necessarily supposed to be woke, but I want it to be realistic, because there's obviously a magic system in my world, but I want my character to go through developments that would be realistic for someone in her gender role that other series don't like to go through. It's a story, not a manga, you dit. So I want her to, she'll get fit over time through journey as an experience, but I also want there to be two strong female presences in her life that force her or give her new perspective and confidence. And the first one is going to be in being okay with yourself, like your own image. There's a lot of women especially struggle with finding, the inner happiness with their own beauty, or why they want to get, why get attractive? Like, what's the point? So the part of the order that my MC is in, during the first part, like before the time skip, he basically made friends with the equivalent. I'm not sure what the race is going to be, but as a standalone race, it's the equivalent of a troll race, where it's, giant, lumbering, ugly creatures. And he was really good friends with like the lead guard. There's like a guard for the order, and these trolls became like the elite guard for that order. But the leader of that guard died during the 100-year time skip because, of old age, and his daughter is now the leader of that guard, the elite guard for the druids, essentially. And she is a woman. Obviously, she's a woman troll, but she is completely confident in her own self-image. And I want it to be through her, through a different race, and seeing that change in perspective that allows my MC girl to feel confident in herself. And I want her to install a sense of arrogance into my heroine, so that she will be completely shattered by the MC's rival, which is the Artemis and Trary equivalent. Completely better than her, and he's basically just like, there's nothing she can do to beat him. She can never be good enough physically. She can never be fast enough in swordsmanship and hand-to-hand combat, and he just completely destroys her ideology of how good she can become just as being a woman in a man's world at the elite top. And it's going to create insecurity, and it's through the second major influential person in her life that will bring her back up to the point, because there's like the sword fighting part of the world where weapons are useful, and there's magic. And I want the magic to be used as a buffer for the biological differences between men and women in the verse. So the only way the heroine can overcome that biological difference is through using the mastery of magic, which is where the second female character kind of comes in, and she's going to be at the top of her field in terms of magic as a ruler. And it's through her that her ideology and her aspects through life, and she's kind of be like the more ruler, top of the class, not a warrior, but a magic master. That will kind of bring the heroine towards the right mindset of the world. Dritz loves beautiful women. I do. Have I watched Stampede? No. Does she win? No. Against my main character's rival, she gets absolutely destroyed. Not even close. Give her big titties and everything will be good. Classic. But yeah, I have lots of ideas for the story. I just need to figure out how they're going to work out together. Is the main rival Jordan Peterson? No, Jordan Peterson is the mentor figure to the male MC. He is the mentor figure. Life doesn't care about your feelings. That's how it is. How's the male MC? Well, the male MC has his own issues. He's gonna be kind of like a picture for me, but in a different idealized world. Because for me, my biggest struggle in life has been trying to like bear responsibility. I want like that character to be something that's I've gone through in my life, but to obviously an extreme. But my character's gonna have to go through a lot of shit, obviously as the main character. But what I also want to do in my story is, you guys know I'm a big fan of romance. I want to, something I don't like about a lot of other series is how, like, as far as romance goes, it's basically just like, oh, yo, at the end, everything happens at the end. It's I fucking hate it. It's lazy storytelling. I want to include a story where family becomes a major aspect for my character. So there's obviously going to be a romantic interest. They are going to have a child, and the child, the role as a father, mother, and having the child, along with like the small group of friends they have, is going to play a very important part in the relationship. I want like there to be an active family with the MC. I feel like no one really handles actual relationships and like that dynamic while doing a story. It's all just like afterwards that it happens. I don't like that. So will he be a drag down too? Yeah, to some extent, yeah. Although my main character, which I just call him Walker. It's not his actual name, but it's a stand-in name for him. I haven't figured it out yet. But he's gonna have some pretty brutal backstory. If I had to choose between a game of Smite and a hot woman, what god you choosing? Wait, what? Is sex scenes confirmed? Yeah, sex scenes confirmed. Yep. Sex scenes confirmed. Hashtag smut. You liking your new job? New job's good. New job is good. It's easy. Easy so far. I'm just, slowly learning. Black Clover handles romance pretty well, in my opinion, for a shonen. That is surprising. When's the Netflix adaptation coming out? Never. Never. But yeah, there are a lot of characters in my series that I kind of want to work on. Obviously, I have to figure out the main characters. So I have the MC and the female MC, and I want to have a It depends. Like, I'm trying to figure out, because I want there to be like a group of 4 people. I don't want the cast to be super large in terms of like main characters and perspectives. So we have main MC, female MC. I want to try to tinker with the idea of a blind, like some kind of blind guy, and going with the struggles with that, the character developments through the blind person, but as a main character, not as like a side character like they do in shonen. And then the 4th character, I'm still kind of trying to decide on what I want them to be. I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, I'm gonna try and like what I try to do is I try to take influences from series that I think have done things well and then build off of that. So as far as main antagonists go, that's probably one of the most important things for the series, and I'm trying to think of the best way to handle main antagonists. Because I want there to be also a couple enemies, but like I like the feeling of progress for the main antagonist. I don't like the idea where the main antagonist is already at final end game level, and it's just like I have to wait for you to get here. I don't necessarily like that. I don't want to be like some like god level character, you know. That's never that interesting. It's like it's just these two characters are god level, so you have to be a god to defeat them. I want to be more grounded. So I have to figure out how I want to handle my villain's progression. Just won't allow unfaithful adaptations of his genius work. Yeah, genius. Correct. Well, with the magic system, I am still working on the magic system because I want to try to tie the magic. Like, the thing with magic systems is like, I don't know if I want to go like more generic or more hard magic system. Because you can do good with a soft magic system and you can do good with a hard magic system. I am just not sure how I want to do it because, like, if I include a magic system, it has to be incorporated with my blind character, but I don't want to, like, go, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender to make it, like, you know, very, very soft. But it was still really good, and then, you know, copy that. It would just be too good. I have to think of, like, a unique magic system. And that's hard to do. So the magic system is going to have to be a work in progress. I've had ideas for magic systems, but I'm like, it's kind of too similar to this and that. But I want to tie it into like the main concept. So I think what it might end up being is I might have a more soft magic system than hard magic system. Will the heroine have orange hair though? A very important question. Red hair. Red hair, tan skin. Not to keep bringing up Black Clover, but it does have a unique magic system, to be honest. Oh, yeah? Will there be talking animals? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe. Might be some furry smut scenes, you know what I'm saying? Dritz equals Snowden 2.0. Yo, Doctor, the stream will be uploaded onto my secondary channel, which I will have linked in the description below after the stream. I'm going to private it and then make it live again, essentially. Take a look at Nen from Hunter x Hunter, see if it inspires you. There's lots of stuff. I mean, there's lots of magic systems. Like, the thing is, like, I don't want to make something too close to another magic system. So making a unique magic system is hard to do without copy, because like it's been so much has been done. It's so hard to make a unique magic system. Because then I also wanted to tie it into the culture of my world. And I also want the magic system to play a dynamic part in the choices that my characters make, in terms of, like, you know, I had an idea I wanted to play with, which is, I don't know if I want to have magic when it first starts off into the first half of my world be less known, like not many people know of it, and that be kind of like the main fighting stance between my main character and the people who eventually betray him, is how magic should be used in the world, and like to what authority and what degree can it be regulated, which would kind of be like, you know, how do you use resources in the real world? You know, what's the responsible and right way to handle it? Can regular people deal with this without it getting too corrupted? So I want to think about magic system will kind of be used to like, you know, can everyone use magic, or should it be like more elitism kind of thing? We can make it into a webtoon question mark. I don't know if I will have the time, but you can figure it out if you want to. I mean, eventually at some point in time, if I figure everything out, it's possible, Eric. Is it a medieval world? It's more grounded in medieval society. I'm just not sure how much I want it to advance in the 100 years, because like depends on how I want to take it. So I'm not sure if like, you know, during the 100 years that my character has slumbered, that, you know, magic becomes more popularized and it changes the culture and technology and advancement of the world. So it won't be modern, but it would be more modernized in a sense by that. Or maybe it would be the reverse, where it'd be more elitism, depending on how I want the characters to go. What are my thoughts on the chapter? Meh. What my original thoughts, Young? Is meh. Mana system? Yeah, I think that I might... It depends. Like, there's so much room for, like... Mana can be anything. So, I'm not sure if I want it to be more close to, like, Berserk stuff. Like, Stormlight Archive stuff. Although, Berserk has some elements that the Stormlight Archive uses. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and rewatch Brandon Sanderson's lecture on magic a few more times before thinking of something good. Yo, what's up, Jay? What do you think of Black Air Force Odin? I mean, I don't really care so far, Jay, completely honest. I wasn't a big fan of the structure of the chapter, but I'm not really invested in Odin's character yet, but it's only the first chapter of the flashback. I'm waiting for more. Make a video game? Yeah, very easy, make a video game. Just give me like a few $1 million, you know? I got this little bump on my hand. You'll send me an idea. Yeah, sure. I'm all open for ideas. Oh, I love this OST. Also, how have you been, Eric? Black Clover just added rune-based magic. That's more soft magic system fantasy. Do you think parallels between him and Black Mom? Black Mom, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, comparisons... I don't know, it's so hard to gauge young kid feats, Jay, because, like, even Luffy was fairly impressive at a young age. Beating what? Same with, like, you know, Ace. Ace at the age of, like, 8, you know, they tamed the entire forest. So, I'm not putting too much stock into it. You making a manga? Well, it's more like a story, but it could be a manga. I think fights that rely on intelligence and adaptability of the characters are much more enjoyable. Try not to make the magic system too OP. Oh no. If I have a magic system, Felipe, I want it to be a genuine, like, you know, intelligent magic system. I don't want it to be like, you know, like, Kamehameha, mine's bigger than yours, so I win. Haha, lol. I want it to be more grounded in realism, in a sense. As real as I can get with a magic system, I suppose. I don't want it to be like, like earth-shattering attacks or stuff like that. For me, and this is my opinion, I like more grounded magic systems that aren't like, destroy the world kind of stuff. How do I feel about Dr. Stone? I have not seen or read Dr. Stone. That's true. I forgot about him and Sala beating the Bears and Steel Pipes. Yeah, I mean, they've done a lot of things as kids, so just make the protagonist like 200 IQ because there have been way too many stupid protagonists everywhere. I mean, he's going to be competent and smart, but I don't want him to be like, 200 IQ people aren't necessarily the best main characters because then they just solve everything. That's where they kind of become, Gary Stews, like Sherlock Holmes type of stuff. I want him to be competent, but like not overly smart where he's just better than everyone else because of brain power. He's got to take some L's as well. Plans on putting stickers in your story? My main character has a pet, so you already know. Nen has a very good power system. Yeah, Nen has a very, very good power system. Hold on, the more powerful attack winning is dumb. I mean, it's simple, but what I mean by that, Craig, is uh take it to like let's assume like, oh, Kamehameha, oh no, that beat me, grr. I want it to be more intelligent than just, blast someone in the face with your giant laser beam and then win the battle. I want there to be strategy involved because I intend to put more more realized sword techniques because I love swords. So I want everything being incorporated to a competent level. Magic will be huge in terms of elites battling each other, but I don't want it to be so ridiculous where it's just like I don't want that Dragon Ball Z level of power development. Is your story going to be dark like Berserk or just more of a serious tone? It's going to be a little bit of both. There will be a serious tone, but there will also be dark spots in my series as well. Like death, defeat, stuff like that. Don't start changing ethnicity, genders, and sexuality when mainstream media attacks your story. Not going to happen. Nen versus hockey, which is the better power system? Well, I'm not a Nen expert, but I would say most people would say that Nen is way better. Like, not even comparable. Just not from the start, but make him learn through the story. My character is going to learn a lot throughout the story. That's the plan. Boring characters are characters that don't learn or advance. They become dull and static. I want to avoid that as much as I possibly can. Harry Potter has a good magic system, I think, not too overpowered, but more realistic, practical. Harry Potter has a very, very soft magic system, but it's also good. It's good. What is the goal of the MC? I missed it. Well, that's kind of the thing, Eric, is I'm still trying to figure this section of it out because kind of one of the main issues or stories I want to tell within my story is finding kind of the meaning in life for my character, which means like upholding responsibility. So it's going to be oriented with like the balance and how magic works in the world. So I have to figure out maybe Pirate King. I was thinking. But I have to figure that section out definitively with my main character, which also requires me to figure out, because I want to be in line with kind of like the magic of the world. Um, so I have to figure out what I want the magic to be and how that's going to be incorporated with the culture. So I want to figure out my magic system first, and then I could take it from there with how it will be implemented in the world. But I want it to be my main character's goal to be in line with kind of like he's part of an order. So I want it to be some dynamics between there. There's going to be like a subterfuge kind of like Graham Hancock kind of stuff in the background. So I'm not sure because like I love history, so I want to include history as part of our dynamic in the story, but I don't want it to be so overwhelmingly part of the story that it overshadows stuff. Because I kind of wanted to include certain like Graham Hancock-esque ideas into the culture of the story. I just don't know how important I want it to be. Like global cataclysm kind of thing in the past, wiping out the previous more advanced civilization, which kind of is the result of like the magic being gone from the world, like all previous knowledge of magic being wiped out by a global cataclysm. Well, I can tell you this essentially. So, what I had planned, I'm not sure if this is going to stay, is the world used to be a lot more advanced magically, more technology, more advanced, much wider spread mastery of magic thousands of years ago in my history. And then there was a global cataclysm, but the leaders of that age of magic basically used some sort of magic system that tied their soul down to the earth where they are around. So, for instance, there is a certain castle that houses the order where my main character is a part of. And the reason why that castle still exists and why it has its magic properties is because one of the leaders from the previous generation, I decided his name yet. I just gave him a placeholder name of Gallifile because that was a character in Terry Brooks' books. But he will basically have been like the soul of the castle, and that's why it's there. So they're kind of like the remnants of the older generation, and I kind of wanted to tie into like the how magic should be regulated in a modern society. So it's gonna tie into that. I just have to figure out where I want that to go to exactly, because there's no necessarily right answer to it, and I think that's kind of what I want to be the point, is that I want there to be two cases to be made for how people should act. Well, the thing, Michael, is that my character, I kind of want him to be similar to me in a way where he literally just wants to do nothing, but he is, let's say, he wants to do nothing, but basically he knows that he's essentially his presence is needed, but he hates the fact that he's needed, in a sense. Not on an emo level, but it's just like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this because I'm the only one that can do it, type of thing. Is it in high school? No. It's more medieval. Visions of the past? Is it? I've toyed with the idea of there being visions. But the way I kind of want the past to be figured out is through, as they go through the journeys to do X, Y, or Z, bits and pieces of the history. It's similar in a way to, things like Stormlight Archive, even Terry Brooks' books, One Piece, Berserk, history is revealed through travel. I also wanted to, yeah, something similar to that. How old is the MC? Well, the MC starts off as, here's the backstory, but I would say probably mid-20s to, yeah, mid-20s, I would say. Mid-20s. Right around my age. Maybe a little older. How should magic be regulated in a modern society? My Hero Academia is beginning to touch on that subject. Well, it's more like how magic should be regulated heading into what you would consider a modern age. It's still more archaic. It's not like modern where everyone's on their cell phones or anything. MC be fucking. The MC will be fucking. He's going to have a kid that's an active, like he's going to have a family that's an active part of the story, gets a family. I want to explore that dynamic. For both characters, dad and woman. Is it a rom-com? Not a rom-com. Never forget the power of friendship, Capo. That's right. That's the most powerful ability. Will I make the rival the final obstacle, or will you have a final villain? I will have a final villain. The rival, I'm toying with the idea of the rival because I kind of want the rival and Walker, who's like the placeholder name for my MC. I kind of want them to be similar in a sense, but to different extremes. Because, I mean, in a sense, it would be similar to how I imagined Dritz and Artemis were like in the, Icewind, the Dritz Legacy of Dritz, but also kind of like if you want if you don't know what that is, it'd be like Shanks and Mihawk, in a sense, where once my character finds responsibility, it's gonna be something that the rival doesn't understand. So he'll have his own journey to go through. Will you make officially licensed hentai? I wish I could. Who's Shanks? My main character would kind of be the Shanks in that sense. And the rival would be more like Mihawk. But yeah, I'm probably going to go ahead and end the stream here since I do need to go to bed. Got work in the morning. Thanks for everyone who's dropping by. As it's been said by Badger, who has done a great job of sharing out the links for my secondary channel. The stream will be going up on the secondary channel, and so will all future streams. They will be uploaded to that secondary channel. So, thank you everyone for dropping by. I appreciate it. Thanks, for Ragnar, Zach, and Eric being in the chat, Young in the chat, everybody. And I'll see you whenever I see you next time. No promises. Peace out, Girl Scouts.